Data is in it?
Years. It is I, Terracin, your favorite cyber bitch here. As usual, I have with me my baby brother, an American Celt, also known as Chunky Monkey.
Fuck you.
Instead is not the best. Do not put your sister to the test. I also have with me the one, the only Scooby331.
Hey. What's going on?
And I've had this guest on before, and I was so happy when he agreed to come on again. I have with us the Filmation guy, Toons are me.
Hello, how's it going?
Ah, damn it, hold on.
Technical difficulties.
My fault, probably.
Oh, very cool. I like that.
How are you, Toons?
I feel special now. Well, thanks for inviting.
Later we'll get a Geeky Sparkles if she ever gets the notifications.
Well, thanks for re-inviting me. It was fun last night.
Yes, it was. I invited a few other people on that I thought might like to pick your brain.
Go for it. If I can answer, I'll try my best.
I invited Fish. He follows you. He actually found me through you. And I invited another guy, but sadly he's not able to come on. He said he's not somewhere where he can speak out loud. So I at least sent him the link to the show. And I'll be back and forth just for a few minutes because I'm cooking dinner. I know it's kind of late, but, you know, got a late start because we're having to go house hunting. There's been a lot of break-ins in our area.
Why don't you just get a guard gator?
I already have a guard dog.
Yeah, but doesn't Florida pay for that? Like
No.
a guard gator? Like, isn't
No.
there a stipend?
It's actually illegal.
Oh.
It's illegal?
Mm-hmm.
Wild guess. There was a cottage industry down there that got broken up a few years ago, so now it's illegal.
Actually, in the 1900s.
I figured it would be in the 1980s.
No.
What was illegal in the 1900s?
It became illegal to have alligators as guard pets.
They used to be guard pets.
Yeah.
I figured.
Oh, dude, there's a guy in Japan who has an alligator for pet as a pet.
Well, it's not illegal there.
I think
Probably because I haven't had too many issues of alligators attacking people in fucking Japan.
Well, I'm sure that they eat the thing as soon as it gets big enough. I mean, they got some
raping women is probably a bigger issue.
They got some wild stuff that they eat over there in Japan. But I think I told you both about, I think it was like a year or two ago, I was talking to my sister, and to prove a point, I went and looked. I think it was, I found it on eBay. I found some guy up over in Sunset Park that was selling alligators for $200 a piece. I call him up. I'm like, yeah, you got gators? Yeah, I got these miniature dwarf Chinese alligators. I got them in the bathtub. How many you want? You running any specials? Yeah, sure, Joe. Check this out, man. I'll give you 4 of them for $600. Yeah, so I'm throwing in 1 for free. Like, yeah, all right, I'll get back to you. God bless America. Seriously, you know, you can get anything here. Like, it blows my mind sometimes. But so Toons, you're up over on the West Coast, right, in LA?
Yeah, I'm in the West Coast.
How you guys doing? I mean, I know that a little north of you, what was that? San Francisco got rattled to hell a few weeks ago with all them earthquakes.
It wasn't Frisco, but yeah, that was a couple of weeks ago, and didn't bother me too much. It shook like a big, heavy truck went by, and that was about it. I was kind of like, whoa, and nothing. I've heard there's been a bunch of afterquakes, but I haven't felt any of those. So I guess, we weren't towards We are a good maybe 60, 70 miles south of the major hit. So it didn't bother us that much.
Yeah, just thank God that you're okay. I mean,
You know?
I know the past couple of years, your state's been getting hammered with the weather. You know?
Yeah, and the fires. Yeah.
Yeah, and now the geology decided it wanted to kick back up. So
Well, we were due. I think the last major quake was in the late '90s.
yeah, I think I remember I was in high school at the time.
Yeah, that one tore up my house quite a bit. You know, tore up the frame, tore up our back wall. You know, but this one not as bad. At least not out here.
Oh, that's good. Thank God.
Yeah,
Thank.
so pretty. You know, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. I'll be honest. You know, guys over here in New York, we constantly, will knock people in other parts of the country. I mean, I honestly never understood. I mean, I understand the appeal. I've seen pictures of California, and I've seen enough of it in the movies. My God, it's beautiful. But I mean, the terrain there is so vicious at times. I mean, it would make me wonder about wanting to live there. I mean,
Well, it's not really that bad. I mean, come on, quakes what every 20, 30 years, and they're not
well,
really unless you're dead center and it's not going to really bother you. Some people are just scared of quakes.
yeah,
Here,
the mudslides, the fires,
well, the fires, have always been a question to me. Is like, the fires are going to come. Why aren't you prepared for it? We have fires every year. Why aren't people more prepared for fires? More firewalls, more sprinklers, more water systems, more something. Be better prepared for it, and they're not. Mudslides are the same thing. If you're going to put a home on top of a hill, then you should be prepared for a mudslide. Or if you're going to put your house at the bottom of a hill, you should put a big wall to be prepared for a mudslide. You would think, instead of just, oh, it's not going to happen to me attitude.
Yeah.
But I feel the same way about New York. I've been to New York a couple of times. It's like I got claustrophobic. So many buildings. Everything is so high up. The cab system just scared me to death. The drivers were like, they were racing. It's like they were trying to hit other people. It was like, what's going on with this? And people walk down the middle of the streets, don't red light, green light, they don't care. Hey, I'm walking here.
Yeah, that's Manhattan for you.
Yeah, and just looking up, it's like nothing but buildings. I can't even see anything but buildings.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. You can actually ask Tara. I wasn't as bad when I went there with her, but the year before there, the year before that, rather, I went to DC with Burnside, and he thought it was kind of funny because he's from Chicago himself, but he's also been all over the plains and he's lived all up and down the country. I'm a true city boy, even though I don't live on Manhattan. I live on Long Island, right outside of Queens. I'm a city boy, and he thought it was hysterical. Everyone else we were with thought it was funny too, because they couldn't get over how I could not wrap my head around being able to see that far without my view being obstructed. It was a really new experience for me. Like, the only time I'd ever seen that before is when I'm out on the water. And so to be on the land and to be able to look and be like, oh, wow, I can see for miles.
Yeah, see, that's one of the reasons I love the West Coast is I can see the hills, the mountains. I can go to the desert. I can go to the ocean. Hollywood. All these places I can just drive to, and it's great. I've been to New York, and it's like, damn, just building after building after building. Is like, is there any land at all?
You'd have to go. You have to do yourself a treat the next time you're out this way. You have to go to Long Island, and you'll actually be amazed. It's a lot nicer. It's depending where you go. Like, more likely you probably love the East End, like out by the Hamptons.
Uh-huh.
It's beautiful out there, and it's nothing like Manhattan at all. It's no building.
I've been to Florida, to Miami, and it was like that. Just really it was just strange for me. It was like just no hills, no mountains, no nothing, just flat.
I loved Miami when I went
Did you
there.
really?
Yeah.
I just Nope, not for me. I like to see the mountains, the hills. The beaches were nice in Miami, but it's like no, nothing. I just like the West Coast.
That's the thing I liked about it was the beach itself. My father was a sailor, and I grew up a fisherman's son, so I spend most of my time on the water, and that's why I like the Caribbean so much. But I've been up in the mountains in upstate New York myself. We got the Adirondacks and the Catskills up there, and it is really nice and beautiful for people who've never actually been to a mountainous area. Like the kid Burnside and I were talking. He's never really been in mountains before, so we're going to be going up to the Straight Pride Parade to cover it up in Boston in August. And I told him, I said, we're going to take the route that I said to get up there. Basically, you got to cut through the foothills over by the Catskills and the Adirondacks. And he said, "Oh, I've never been there before." I said, "Well, it's beautiful." And he'll really enjoy. I told him, you're going to really enjoy it. And it just, to me, it was amazing because he's been all over the country, but he's only been to the plain states, like up and down through. He hasn't been to any mountain ranges before. So I just thought that was amazing because it occurred to me like, wow, this kid has been all over the country, but in between all of the mountainous states, so he's never seen mountains. Like it makes you realize you can travel so much in this country and actually never drive through mountains or see mountains and still have days of travel time that you log. It's mind blowing.
Yeah, that's how big our country is.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't mean to veer off like that on tangents. It's just Excuse me.
All right, sorry guys, I'm back. I finished cooking dinner and I made my plate.
Okay.
Oh, good. I was just waxing all philosophical and getting bored. Your timing is excellent. Sorry, I'm just in a very sleepy mood. We were talking about it before we went on air, just for anyone who's curious. New York's having a heat wave. We usually don't get this weather till the last week of July, first week of August, so it's a little bit early. I'm actually flubbing my words a little bit because I'm dehydrated because of the heat. So, yeah, I think it reached about 105 today at the height of the day, and it's currently, I think it's dropping down now to about 96. So
that's what we
really
had.
Hot.
We had that. Yeah. I think Sunday. I had 108. So it's about always out here like that.
Jesus, I could not live there.
Well, we got beaches, air conditioning.
Yeah, we got that here. I'm right on the water myself, thank God.
And you don't have a breeze coming through or nothing to cool you down?
No, because the thing is, Long Island itself, Brooklyn, Queens, Nassau, and Suffolk, it's the biggest estuary in the country is Maryland. I think it's the Delmarva Peninsula specifically. And then we're basically this huge estuary. So we're basically a large, brackish wetland swamp. Mm. And so it's just the humidity is so thick that the breeze, it doesn't travel more than a half a mile inland. And unfortunately, I'm about a mile inland, so I don't get the breeze. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I know it can be. Believe me, I know.
It could be worse, though. I could be in Florida.
Thanks, Scooby.
She knows I'm joking because I tell her all the time I want to move to her state. It is the most awesome state in the union. Seriously. Toons, I don't know if you've ever seen this thing it's a lot of these, I'm 40 now, but a lot of these younger people, they all got this thing that they read. It's these Florida man stories.
Fuck off, Scooby.
No, I'm just telling them. I mean, these.
Hey, Jerry, what time is it there?
Yeah.
Baby brother, you're still young enough. I can bend you over my knees. Thank you.
But you're not going to.
Want to bet?
I'm not going to let you.
They actually have this thing. Apparently, Florida is known for all of its wild crimes, and just wild stories, just crazy shit. Apparently, that only happens in that state. And what Kelda's alluding to is, I think it was last year, Florida's governor, just out of nowhere, as a parting shot before he left office, he decided that Florida was going to get its own time zone, but only for half of the year.
Which time zone was
But
it
it
on?
actually went into effect.
It actually is in effect, yeah. So Florida's on Florida time for half a year. What it is they no longer honor daylight savings time. They just keep it daylight savings time all day, like all year. All year. So it's always sunny in Florida. That's basically what it is.
Well, it is the Sunshine State.
Yeah, true. True that. And Tara takes this personal, like we're making fun of her, and she doesn't understand. I'm sincere when I say I love how loony her state is. It's perfect for somebody like me.
You know, I wonder if the old cartoons like Looney Tunes might have been based on Florida.
No, Brooklyn.
You ever heard the accents of all those characters? They're based on Brooklyn.
Yeah, they all sound like me.
I thought the actors were just from there.
Sam. He's
No,
based on Texas.
They were all from here.
You're talking about the Warner Brothers characters?
Yeah, they were. Well, Mel Blanc was from Brooklyn.
Was Brooklyn.
I seem to remember watching a Robin Hood movie where no one had an English accent.
Oh yeah, you got those a lot too. But what was I saying? Like the original animators, Termite Terrace. Most of them were from. Yeah, they were all from like Pickett Avenue. They were from like Flatbush. They were from like Park Slope, all those areas. And
the original animation studios were in New York first before they came to the West Coast.
Yep. Yeah, everything moves out there.
Yeah. That's where Disney first started. That's where the Fleischer Studios were. That's before they all came out to the West Coast.
I tell that to people all the time. It blows their minds. Like, it was really cool because there was a YouTuber that came out to visit, and I took her with me all over the place in Manhattan back in March. Her name's Miss Allie. She's a good friend of mine. And what was really cool was, thank God she's alert and observant, because I'm, Captain Oblivious. I just, I drive the vehicle. That's my thing. I just make sure we don't die. I don't notice landmarks or nothing. And she looks over and she's like, "Hey, Scoob, is that the same thing that was in Highlander?" And I look up, I go, "Oh yeah, that's Silver Cup Studios. I forgot it was there." Because I was driving on the 59th Street Bridge. I just completely forgot where I was for a split second. I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's it." You forget that things like that are still there. That building is still there, and so is that sign.
Scoop, do you think they'd let me on the roof so I could get in the Highlander pose and you could take a picture?
Hell, if it was 10 years ago before my back went out, I was going to say I could get you up on the roof myself. But
I just got an idea for a TV show.
Right.
It's a skit show, but all the skits are based on real Florida stories.
Yeah, that would actually be really good. That would be probably a #1 show, but you'd have to have it on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Comedy Central.
No. I just want to know, why is it specifically, like, how is it that you guys are able to, get the fan boats in those parking spaces? That's the one thing I'll just never get my head around. Because there's no mirrors on those things.
Scooby?
Yeah.
Eat a hobo dick.
You know you love me. You know you truly do. All right, I've been an asshole for a few minutes now, and that's plenty of time for everybody. So, Toons, we're here all the time. You're not here that often, man. So, yeah, I want to hear from you. So, what's good?
Ask away. What do you guys want to know about animation that I can answer you with?
Oh, I got a question.
What's that?
Have you seen the Cats trailer?
Yeah, it's pretty frightening. I don't know why they didn't go with more of a cat face instead of putting a human face on a cat person. It just didn't work for me.
It looks like they photoshopped mouths onto them.
It looks like, like a horror film. I don't know why they went that direction. Why CGI went that direction at all? Why not give them, whiskers, nose, something more cat-like instead of just putting a human face on a cat person?
The hat looked better.
Yeah, that was just terrible. I can't see me seeing this film. I really can't.
I never bothered to even go see the play, and it was at the Winter Garden Theater for like 30 years.
Well,
I'm going to see it. Me and my aunt.
I've seen the play, and it was good, but I just can't see this movie. This is just frightening. It's like what they're doing with the new Banana Splits film.
They're making a Banana Splits film?
Yeah, they're killers. It's a horror film. You been
Really?
seeing the trailer yet?
No.
Check it out on YouTube when you get a chance.
Okay, I will, definitely. That sounds interesting.
They're killers. They're it's a horror film.
The Banana Splits. All right. I can definitely think I could go see this now.
I just can't. Destroys my childhood. I'm sorry.
No, I just, oh God, I remember how much I could not stand the Banana Splits when I was a kid.
I loved it.
You know what it was? It's, I guess because back then, that's when Koch was the mayor and the subway systems were completely like, holy shit. Everything was so bleak during my childhood outside of my house. Like, that's part of the reason I'm one of those people that really is into family and into the house, is just because holy shit was it bad out there. So the Banana Splits, well, that sunny shit. You know what it is too. I guess because it was the '80s, and by that point, the Banana Splits, it was just I don't know, too dated for me. I guess I'm just a curmudgeon. To be honest, I've told people before I never got into Captain America when I was a kid, and people look at me, they're like, "I thought you were patriotic." I go, "I am," but he was so stiff.
Well, he was supposed to be.
No, I know. As a writer, I fully understand that now.
Yeah.
But as a kid, it was just like, my God, he sounds like my father's friends. All of my father's friends were like World War II and Korea and Vietnam veterans. Like the younger guys were the Vietnam veterans, but my father was a UDT in Korea on the Valley Forge. So I grew up around people that were all like Captain America. Remember, son, you should eat your vegetables with every meal. I mean, that's really how these guys were.
Well, that was the time period. That was the reign, and that was the character based on that time period.
Yeah, and to be honest, and God forgive me for saying this, I don't like to speak, and no one ever wants to speak ill of Jack Kirby, but it was just, I don't know, there's something about Cap's costume at the time when I was a kid. I understand it was all the classical features, and looking back on it, I understand it was the time period. It was just, it didn't appeal to me as a boy. The design aesthetic, it just, I don't know. To me, it didn't resonate. I feel horrible saying that, but it was just, I don't know. When I was a kid, I just never, you know what it was too, probably? It was probably because he was my older brother idolized Captain America, and I could not stand my older brother. That's probably what it was too.
I wasn't a fan of the early Captain America of the 40s, but of the 60s, when I first discovered him, I thought he was great.
Yeah.
Good father type figure, strong American, good strong beliefs, a leader.
Yeah.
And, working with Jack Kirby through over the years, I think he did a great job with Cap.
No, he really did. Well, look, now as an older person, and even once I got to be a teenager and into my 20s, I could fully appreciate it. But just, I guess, it was because it was the 80s, again, when I was a kid. And there was just so many other offerings. I guess that, to be fair, too, Marvel itself was not very well represented until, oh, God, maybe the late 90s at least. I mean, a lot of the 90s cartoons, like that Avengers cartoon, just, I don't know, it was the costumes and the character redesigns. And
yeah, that was pretty bad. I worked on that 90s Avengers show, and I really hated it. I really did. I didn't care. I didn't care for the reinvention of the characters, the designs, anything about that show. I really hate it. The one that went on, I'm thinking about the one on Fox.
Yeah.
That was pretty bad.
Yeah, I don't want to like knock, and it's not like the show itself, like the quality was bad or
Yeah,
how
it was. It was. The quality was bad too.
Well, I thought it was well done. It was just it wasn't well written, and like the animation was good. I thought it was just well. Let me back that up. The art was good. I thought the animation could have been done a little bit better. It seemed very mechanical. I guess it was low grade animation. I don't know, but yeah. By the time like Marvel was accessible to me through like let's say TV as a medium, yeah, I had already had like that taste developed in my mouth from like watching DC since I was like before I could read because DC had the Super Friends and then it had the superpowers. And that was the thing. Like I started watching that well before. The only thing that they had at the time that was comparable was Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. So my only exposure to Marvel was through Spider-Man. And because Spider-Man was in Manhattan all the time, but lived in Queens, in Forest Hills, which is like 20 minutes away from here, I gravitated a lot towards Spider-Man. That and his sense of humor, I got a kick out of. I wanted to ask you, did you ever work with Larry Hama at all? I don't know if I asked you that last time I talked to you.
No, I don't think I have.
He was he did G.I. Joe for Marvel and
Well,
for Sumbo.
I think he was a writer on G.I. Joe, and I was
Yeah.
I was in the art department. So if he was there, I don't remember meeting him because we were in a totally different part of the building.
All right, because that was.
Yeah, because I did character designs the first season and storyboard revisions on G.I. Joe the second season. But the writers were in a totally different part of the building. So he may have been there, and I don't remember meeting him, but I'm sure he was there.
Do you know anything about, this is just a bit of trivia that you might get a kick out of if you don't know anything about it. Do you know anything about the differences between the writing with the first and the second season?
The difference in between the writing of G.I. Joe season 1 and season 2?
Yeah.
Season 2, we were required to use a lot more of the toys. Hasbro was constantly bothering us to put more toys into it, more of their product into the show. But beyond that, I don't know. What are you looking for?
Well, this is something I had read. I forget who that's why I don't want to misattribute the quote because I can't remember the person's name. But they were talking about when they were doing the writing for season 1 and season 2. And they said on season 1, we were writing Cobra Commander like Adolf Hitler. And it just wasn't working. But by season 2, I guess they had such a ball in the writing department. By season 2, we had started writing him like Yosemite Sam, and it just clicked. And when I read that, I thought that was one of the most hysterical things I ever read because you can actually see. I think what it was when they say season 1 and season 2, I think it might have been a misquote on the website I was reading because I think they were referring specifically to the miniseries, the first like 3 or 4 miniseries that they did. Like it was like 3 or 4 episodes, and then
they were 5-parters. The first one was a 5-parter. Then they went to a series, then they did a second 5-parter, then they did, I think, a third and maybe a fourth 5-parter.
Yeah.
And then they actually did the G.I. Joe movie, the animated movie.
Yeah, which actually traumatized and scared the living shit out of me when I was a kid. I think I was like 7 or 8 when that came out. Because, yeah, that really scared the fuck out of me, that movie. Excuse me, but wow.
Really? What was it about G.I. Joe that scared you as a kid?
What, the animated movie?
Yeah. What about? I mean,
big pods coming down out of the sky, mutating people into different animals and shit. That scared the shit out of me, especially because they showed it happening on the screen. Unfortunately, I was the youngest of 7, and I had all the siblings that were really into sci-fi and horror movies. So I grew up like being forced to watch movies like The Fly and Toxic. I had a thing about body horror. I don't like watching that sort of shit because it was forced on me as a kid. Like American Werewolf in London, I remember the first time I ever saw it. It scared me. Holy shit, did that scare me?
Oh, okay.
I guess you hate Animorphs, don't you?
I don't mind watching it now that I'm older, especially because the technology has progressed and there's less of a horror aspect to like. I don't mind a werewolf movie like nowadays, but like back in the day when it was shit like The Howling, when it was really grotesque.
Yeah, I love those kind of films, and
Me too.
I don't think GI Joe's the first one to do, those kind of transformations. But okay,
That just scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. Because you gotta remember, I was like 7, and I didn't expect it in a cartoon. And my parents, my father, he enjoyed it because he was a military man. That's part of the reason. Like he was really supportive of me, like watching that when I was a kid, and it's part of the reason he pushed it so much. Not so much they pushed it. He didn't bust my shoes like he did with any other property I looked into. Like he didn't mind it, like Transformers either. Because he used to tell my mother all the time, he would shrug, he'd be like, they're robots, who cares?
yeah,
But anything,
I hated working on Transformers. I really did.
really?
You want to draw those characters transforming. You want to draw a robot, then 3 or 4
Oh,
other shots of him transforming, then the final transformation. That's a lot of drawing.
yeah, no, I got you.
And to keep them on model to make sure that you have every bolt and every piece of them, because they were really anal about that, and that's
Oh,
a lot
wow.
of work. And then drawing 2 or 3 transformations or 2 or 3 robots transforming at a time, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, one thing I noticed a lot of people complaining about from the old cartoons is, oh, they used a lot of recycled scenes. Yeah, well, drawing all that shit takes time and money, and most of those companies want to save money, so they recycle scenes.
Well, also kids love to see some of those scenes over and over again. If you watch He-Man, kids
Yep.
love that transformation.
And
Or She-Ra.
I, as a little girl, when Adora would transform into She-Ra, I'd stand up, hold my sword, She-Ra sword up, and do the whole thing, and I'd hurry up before she could finish her transformation and change Swift Wind into,
To the unicorn.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I put on my costume that they sold at the time, that was the She-Ra costume, so I could sit there and watch She-Ra as She-Ra.
yeah. See, kids love. I mean, some transformations they want to see over and over again. So yeah, that became stock in some shows. And you're right; it does save money to save on animation and time. Just pop in another scene.
And I used to actually like doing the same exact thing, like the He-Man thing, except didn't have a He-Man costume because I wasn't, family was Catholic. I couldn't wear anything that risque, but I did have the sword. So I liked He-Man a lot too when I was a kid. He-Man, Fat Albert, they had like the block that would come on, and I think I mentioned this last time you were on, and they would have all those shows back to back.
Uh-huh.
But I really appreciate your work on Transformers. Thank you for that, because seriously, like Optimus Prime was, holy shit, he was like basically like my role model when I was a kid. Because I had mentioned this before. My father, may he rest in peace, he always used to wear like the same outfit to work all the time. He would wear these blue Carhartt pants with this red Carhartt jacket with his blue Navy hat. So he literally dressed like Optimus Prime. So, and because Optimus Prime was to turn it into an 18-wheeler, and at the time the old man was driving the sand carrier for Advanced Ready Mix. So it just, it was one of those things when you're a kid, you just see your old man come in dressed in the same colored outfit as this robot you're watching all day on the TV. The robot turns into a truck. Your father's a truck driver. So because my father worked so many hours, I didn't really see him that much when I was really young because of the hours I kept. So it was like I kind of ingrained like this character like as almost like a surrogate for like when the old man wasn't there when I was very young. So I attribute, and plus, especially with the old man himself being ex-Navy, I think it helped build up like this whole sort of, I guess, mythos in my head with Optimus Prime. Like a lot of kids loved Optimus Prime. Holy shit, that I like. He was, to me, it was like the greatest thing on earth.
Right. He was the leader of the group and the stronger of the group, and yeah.
And then they blew him away in that Japanese movie. I was like, yeah, that I seen that in the theaters. Holy God, the wailing and crying of all the kids in that theater. Do you remember there was like they had like a slight controversy because they didn't realize it was going to be that brutal, and the executives at Hasbro actually, I seen the interview, and the one guy's like, well, we didn't think the kids were going to have attachments to them. We figured that they'd know they're just robots.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
well,
was because of that they didn't kill Duke in the G.I. Joe movie.
Yeah, I was going to say that actually is what affected that, yeah.
Funny how they reversed that in the live action movies. They spared Prime but killed Duke.
Yeah.
well, I guess if the kids are grown up now, they're not as attached as they were to the cartoon show.
Yeah. But that's kind of like what they did with that RoboCop movie, where they just insisted they had to save his hand. I got it. His hand got blown off in the first one, and then they amputated his remaining hand, and I just never understood the whole point of that. It's some weird fanboy. It's like that Superman movie that came out a few years ago. That was like a tribute to Richard Donner. Just whatever. I could actually complain less about that Superman movie. At least it wasn't like the past couple of Star Trek movies that J.J. Abrams got his mitts on.
Hey, I like those.
Everyone likes those because of the special effects and because of the blonde in the bodysuit.
Nope.
What?
That's not why I like it.
Those are the only redeeming things I can think of.
No, I like the actors. Chris Pine, the
I
guy
think
that plays
Chris
Spock, because I
Pine-
love the way he acted in Heroes.
Chris Pine played the terrible Captain Kirk. Just terrible. They just totally destroyed
He's
Captain Kirk.
the Captain Kirk that grew up without his father and had a shitty stepdad.
So that doesn't matter. Kurt's always been a kick-ass. Kurt's always been, one of the movie Kirk's begging for his life and for his crew. Kirk wouldn't have done that. Kirk's always been the strong Buccaneer guy.
But see, I'm understanding that it's an alternate universe, literally.
Yes, I know. I've been told it a number of times.
So in the originals, he had his dad. So I get it.
I like what they did in Into Darkness.
I just don't like J.J. Abrams. I think he's the devil.
Seriously. Including me.
It was JJ who made the good Star Wars sequel movie.
The good one?
Yeah, Force Awakens.
You mean New Hope 2.0?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. I'm sitting there watching in the theater, and I'm like, I got my arms crossed, and I got this look on my face. And my wife's like, what, don't you like it? I said, I liked it the first time I seen it about 30 years ago. I said, right now, this one is leaving a bad taste in my mouth. And one of them, they come up and they ask you questions. If you
it's like when you burp, but you it tastes like what you had recently.
Kind of gross, but yeah, good point. A woman came up to me for the local news. I guess I don't know. I must have drew her attention somehow, and she wanted to know my opinion of the movie. And now I want to make sure everyone understands, for the record, I'm not anti-Semitic at all. I'm just a complete asshole. And because I live on Long Island, I like screwing with the liberal press. So she comes up to me and she asks me, she goes, what did you like most about the movie? I said, I really liked the new Sith Lord, Darth Israel. And her eyes got enormous. Obviously,
Darth Israel?
Yeah, Darth Israel.
Kylo Ren?
Did you not see the schnoz on Kylo Ren?
I was being a sarcastic asshole specifically.
I'm not willing to focus on someone's nose, let alone a man's nose.
Dude, Chunky Monkey, the dude has a goddamn beak. He doesn't have a nose, he has a beak. He might as well be on that.
His shirtless image was more distracting than his nose.
As a goddamn parrot.
His shirtless scene was far more distracting than his nose could ever be.
Now, what I'd like to
shirtless? Yeah.
What I'd like to say,
that'd be sexy.
What I'd like to say though, before I forget, is I said all this before I found out that this guy was actually, I don't know if he's retired or still active duty, but he's apparently a United States Marine Corps recon. So, yeah, Kylo Ren, I don't know his real name, the actor, but if you're listening, no hard feelings there. I don't need my arms broken.
Well, if he's active recon for the military or what the fuck ever, he needs to do push-ups, crunches, and pull-ups because that body is not attractive.
That's kind of cruel, but all right. I was just saying how I razzed the newscaster, trying to fuck with her. I mean, I didn't really want to sit there and roast Kylo Ren, but okay. Have at it. I can see that. Have at it.
Dude, most of the military men I know, once they're out of the military, that's one thing. If he's like still technically active duty, that's another thing. He needs to, put that body into shape. Because if I had the choice between staring at who is it? One of the characters from The Spy Who Shagged Me, the damn fat Scotsman.
Oh, fat bastard.
Yeah. If I had the choice between staring at Kylo Ren and Fat Bastard, even though I'd puke in my mouth staring at Fat Bastard, I'd rather stare at Fat Bastard.
Hey, whatever works for you. You're the one with the weird kinks.
I'm looking at pictures of Kylo Ren. Yeah, he looks like he can smell you before he senses you through the Force.
Well, that's the reason I decided to screw with the newscaster. And, immediately her eyes got really big and she started doing the thing where they put their fingers past their throat, back and forth flashing. In other words, like telling the guy cut the camera. So,
I had to see a side view of it to see the nose.
Yeah, well, I said that to her, and she walked away and went to the next person, looked over her shoulder at me really quick, this evil fuck, and just kept walking. And my wife's like, "What just happened?" And I forget what I said to my wife, but she scowled at me because I got her really good with something. And my wife came up to me and she goes, what happened? I said, they asked if we wanted to be on the news. And she said, well, what did you say to her? I said, well, my wife doesn't have her papers and she's afraid ICE is going to pick her up. She got really pissed off at me. I don't remember if she hit me in the shoulder, probably.
Man.
You know what it is? My wife's the same mix as me, Sicilian Irish, but for whatever reason, my wife is abnormally dark compared to me. She's as dark as my father was, even though she's half Irish. So it's funny because we'll go out places and they come up to her and they start talking to her in Spanish. So I fuck with her all the time. Whenever we argue, I told her, I said, I'm going to hide all of your paperwork and call ICE.
And it's not a joke. I've heard him on Talking to Peaches, and she's like, shut the fuck up!
She gets all bent out of shape over it. Because I took her, this is, I think, last summer now. We went to Popeyes to grab something to eat. And so she's balls deep in her chicken, There's no way this girl could speak if she tried at this point. She's, eating. And the Spanish woman comes in, and she's like, looks like she must have been walking for a minute because, that's what the gist of it I got. My Espanol is rusty as hell. But she's talking to my wife, and my wife's trying to gesticulate that she's eating. But for whatever reason, this woman thought that she was, agreeing with her in the conversation. She's like, yeah, see? And she just keeps going on, and my wife's, giving me the look. And so the woman looks at me, and I go like this. I said, you'll have to speak up. She's hard of hearing. So now this woman starts yelling at my wife in Spanish. Well, she's trying to force down this chicken so she can tell her that she doesn't speak Spanish. So she's sitting there and she's yelling at her in Spanish for a good 20 seconds before she finally gulps it down and she's like, I'm sorry, I only speak English. I don't speak Spanish. She goes, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, the woman spoke English anyway. She looks at me and she's like, why did you do that? I said, you don't let a golden opportunity like that pass you by.
Too bad you didn't have a camera phone on you.
Oh, yeah. Well, I couldn't let it go. I mean, when the minute she looked at me and I said, my wife's hard of hearing, you're going to have to speak up. And so she started shouting.
Oh. I come up there and shit like that happens, you realize the phone's coming out.
That's fine. That's fine. I didn't think to break out the camera phone at the time.
Luckily, I have software where I can blur faces.
There you go. But, Yeah, we keep getting sidetracked. We weren't talking about 80s cartoons, and it got onto me tormenting my wife.
No, you guys kind of dropped that a while ago.
Yeah, I apologize. We do have a tendency to go all over the map like that. Keeps
No
it
problem.
interesting. But I'm trying to think. What other questions did I have? Well, how about this? Kel, what about you?
What?
What questions do you have? Cartoons? Because you hear me and your sister talk about cartoons all the time. I'd like to hear your input.
I don't even know if he's done any cartoons from my childhood.
Name one.
Jackie Chan Adventures.
Nope. Sorry.
Out of any cartoon you could name.
No, I didn't get a chance to work on that one. I wanted to, but I didn't get a chance.
Code Lyoko.
Yeah,
That's
anime.
Frenchie.
That's an anime series. So that's
Actually, no. Code Lyoko is from France.
It's from where?
France.
Okay.
Well, he's not in France. He's in LA.
I know.
Give me 1 second. I'll be right back, guys.
All right.
Godzilla, the animated series.
That was at Sony, and I was working on Men in Black at the same time, so I couldn't work on Godzilla. Different part of it.
I watched all of the Men in Black series, and I was so sad that it only ended with like 10 episodes.
How many?
Like 10.
No, that show ended 4 seasons.
Well, whatever I've been watching it on, it only has 1 season.
Okay, no, there's well, they released one season on DVD, or part of a season on DVD, but there were 4 seasons of Men in Black.
Yeah, I think I was watching it on Hulu.
And I think the last 2 seasons they added 2
Oh,
new
no,
characters.
I was watching it on Crackle. Crackle has it, and they only have 1 season.
Oh, okay, yeah, there's 4 seasons.
Because I thought that there was only 1 season, and I was so sad because, you know, it was a good series. I liked it.
Yeah, I had a good time working on the first 2 seasons.
The Transformers I grew up on was the anime trilogy.
What's that?
You said you worked on Transformers. The Transformers I grew up on was the anime trilogy.
Yeah, I worked on the one that was done.
Armada, Cybertron, and Energon.
Yeah, that's much older. I worked on the 80s Transformers over at Marvel.
No, it's newer than the one you worked on.
Yeah. I'm sure that's probably all anime.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. What else did I watch? Samurai Jack?
What's it called?
Samurai Jack.
Samurai Jack was Cartoon Network, and no, I didn't work on that one.
Oh.
I'm trying to think of where I was at Samurai Jack's time. I think I was working on the 3D Voltron, or was I at Disney? I'm not sure.
Speaking of Disney, did you work on the Gummy Bears?
Yes, I did.
Wait, that's Disney?
Yes.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I did storyboards for Gummy Bears. Fun show.
Yeah, see, when I was younger, I hated Thanksgiving for whatever reason. I would cry. I still don't like Thanksgiving.
Sorry.
So we would do grace, and I'd just start crying. And so they would give me a plate of food. I would go into the sitting room, and I'd watch TV and watch My Little Pony and Gummy Bears. Ooh,
Yeah.
did you work on the original My Little Pony, not the shit
original
that's out
what?
there? My Little Pony.
Hello?
I can't hear you. What'd you say?
Did you work on the original My Little Pony?
Yes, I did for Marvel.
Oh, it was a Marvel? Awesome.
Yeah, it was a Marvel series. I did storyboards on that series at Marvel.
Yeah, see, I
Oh, there's a chance
what's
we could
out
see.
now is not My Little Pony. It's Scribble Pony.
Oh, I don't know what it is now. I couldn't watch it.
So
I'm
there's
trying
a
to
chance we
remember
can see Deadpool fucking around with that crazy pink one.
I'm trying to think. Was My Little Pony Deke or was it Marvel?
I thought it was Deke.
It was probably Deke then. Yeah. Yeah, was it Deke? Yeah, My Little Pony and Care Bears and a few other shows over there. Inspector Gadget.
You worked on Inspector Gadget?
Yeah.
I know that's a French one itself, but it was a lot of the art was done over here.
Yeah, the boards were done here, and it was animated, I think, in either France or Japan. But
I think it was animated in Japan because of the style.
Right. So we did a lot of the storyboards and corrections here.
Because I love Inspector Gadget. I actually like the live action one with Matthew Broderick. I don't like any of the others.
They've done more live
The one
action.
with Matthew Broderick went a lot better along with the original cartoon line. And I've seen the new Inspector Gadget cartoon. I can't stand that either.
There's a new one.
Those
Yes.
are pretty bad. And there's also Gadget Kid.
It's really, really bad.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't know they did other movies besides.
What's better, the movies or the new one?
The new one.
The new one's better.
No, the original cartoon is the best.
I said, which one's better, the movies or the new one?
The original live action movie with Matthew Broderick is the best. The ones with I can't remember his first name, but the last name is French. He was also in Third Rock from the Sun. He was the guy that kept his eyes squished shut.
Oh yeah, I remember that he did those movies. Those were terrible.
Yeah, he did 2 and 3. Those were horrible.
Right.
And I've seen the new animated Inspector Gadget, and I'd rather watch the ones with the movies with the French guy because oh my god, they're so horrible.
There's a third live action movie?
Yeah.
I only knew the 2.
No, there's a third one. It was so bad it went straight to DVD.
That's why.
That's what they used to do with movies that flopped, like the first.
But they had to make a sequel.
When they would do like special reviews for specific people, civilians instead of just critics. If it flopped with a theater full of them, they would release it straight to VHS.
Right. Try to get their money back.
I do have a question. How does a show get started? Like some cartoon, how do they decide to make one?
They usually start off with somebody doing a presentation, which is a bunch of drawings, character designs, a premise, a script, and they take it to a studio. Back then they would take it to a network, and the network would decide if they liked the show enough to buy it or invest in it. I mean, they would order so many episodes. Mm-hmm. They would order so many episodes that if they wanted it, they would say, okay, we'll give us 13 episodes and let's see how it does. If it does well, then they would renew it for another season. If it didn't do well, then they would cancel it after 13 episodes.
Okay.
That's why most first seasons have only 13 episodes.
Yeah.
Didn't bother to count the number of episodes that each season had.
What?
Never bothered to count how many episodes were in a season.
Oh yeah, if you go and look at Netflix and look at the first season of most shows, I'm not going to say every because I've seen first seasons of shows that had 23 episodes, just like the rest of the seasons.
Well, networks used to buy more episodes. If you go back to the 60s or 70s, they would buy like 23 episodes per season.
Yeah.
Then it dropped to 18. Then it dropped to 13. And now they order 10 to see how it goes, and then they'll try it from there. So if you look at like shows like Rick and Morty, they only buy like 10 episodes a season to see how it does. But because Rick and Morty,
like that with I think it's called Dragon Prince.
Yeah, that's on Netflix, isn't it?
Yeah, each season only has 10 episodes.
Right. That's Netflix taking a chance on it. Somebody that wants to sell a show now should go to Netflix or Hulu and show them their ideas and show them what they
Probably
got.
not Netflix. I heard that they lost, I think, 17 million in one day.
That's because
Yeah, that's
everybody.
because they put up She-Ra.
Well,
And they removed the original.
everybody's opening up their own stations now.
Yeah,
Disney has theirs, CBS has theirs.
it's going to be just as pricey as cable.
Yeah, they're going to be. They're going to be all over the place.
And that's why I have Chromecast.
Yeah, I have an idea for a show. I was just curious about how it gets started.
Well, first off, write yourself a Bible, what they call a Bible. It's like a.
Yeah, I heard it referred to as Bible from Babylon 5.
Well,
that guy called it a Bible.
Yeah, all shows have a Bible that tells anybody who reads it what the show is about, who your characters are, what their purpose is, what they're going to be doing, who the good guys are, who the bad guys are.
I've already been working on that. A lot of the ideas I've had was basically world building.
And then you need to do some character designs of who your main characters are, front view, back views. Then some personality shots, what they're into, what they're doing, running, leaping, laughing, drowning, whatever. And then you do some color presentation sheets. Show the colors, what they look like, what the backgrounds look like, what world they live in, that kind of stuff. And take it to a network and say, I've got an idea for a show. And if you can get them to look at it and read it, then you have to sell it. You got to do a dog and pony show. Get up there and show them why they want your show. Why do they want to buy your show? What's about your show that they think is better, or they're going to invest their money into? And you go up there and you say, this is my show. It's about a dog and a cat, and they do this, and they go there, and they do these kind of things. And if they like it, they'll go, fine. We'll give you an order of 10 episodes. See how it goes. We'll give you an order of 1 episode. Do a pilot. See if we like it. Nowadays, meaning, people have access to YouTube and computer programs. I've seen students create their own 1-minute demo. And with a 1-minute demo, they take it to YouTube. They do a few cartoons on YouTube. If you get an audience, they're going to come to you and say, hey, we want to buy your show. We think this would be a great series. And then you get to start that way. Nowadays, you have so many more avenues to go to than back in my day, or the 70s or the 80s or the 90s. You have, YouTube, you've got Netflix, you've got Hulu, you've got all these new channels popping up that need material. They need cartoons.
There's
need
Crackle.
shows.
There's, if it's an anime you're trying to do, you can go to Crunchyroll. There's all sorts of places now.
Yeah, there's all kind of places to go to sell it. So you have a lot more chances to have somebody say, yeah, we may want your show. Especially if it's something new and unusual, or if it's something like, okay, I got a great idea for a show, and it looks just like Rick and Morty. And you go, okay, well, let's see what it looks like. And if you can do a good enough rip-off of Rick and Morty to where they like it, you can sell that show too. So, yeah, don't give up. I tell people all the time, keep trying. There's enough avenues out there that you can just go knock on everybody's door and show them what you got.
Okay.
Why, you looking to be an animator, Kelt?
No, no, I don't think I want to be an animator. I just have an idea for a show.
Then you can find yourself an artist to work with.
I already know of one. His name is Rich at Art.
I don't think Rich does animation, though. He just does storyboard.
He wants to. He
does.
do animation.
Oh, well, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Well, you really don't have to do animation. You just have to present the show, and they're going to send the work overseas anyway to get animated. You're just in charge. You're just producing it. You're just directing it. You've created the show. So once you create it, you find a studio that'll do it for you, and they'll subcontract it to Japan or Korea or France or Canada or wherever and get it done for you.
Yeah, whichever place will be cheaper for them.
Exactly.
I could write it for you if you want, Kel. Tell me what you want it to say. Basically, you send me what you want, and I'll write it up for you.
All right. I'll get you to that when I figure out like more details about the story.
I've written movie scripts before. It's not really that hard to write up a script, and like especially like if you can give me characters and give me scenes of dialogue between them, I can just spitball from there, and I can give you episode after episode of, especially if you got like a Cliff and Norm type thrown in there. If you got if you got a lot of tropes, that's actually you should look into. I think it's called TVTropesandIdioms.com. You
Mm-hmm.
might want to look up different tropes, and if anything, if you're having trouble thinking of different characters, just use tropes. Trope the shit out of it. That's what I always say.
Well, I figure like kind of let's use the trope as a framework, but and add on from there.
Yeah. Yeah, like I tell people all the time, if you really want to figure out, like if you're having trouble looking for stock characters for inspiration as a writer, I tell people you can't go wrong with things like Barney Miller. She is. You want to look at a lot of like those sitcoms from the early '80s that were in like specific types of situations. You want to look for things like that. MASH is another good one. Specific episodes. No, you want to look at specific episodes of it. Of each of these shows specifically.
What if
wanna look
your show doesn't have that many characters? Sometimes that's too many characters.
Well, you don't want to use all of them. That's why you watch for inspiration. You can cherry pick.
Oh.
You take the best from each of them. Like I tell people all the time, if you I forget the actor's name and I apologize. One of my favorite actors to watch, whenever I wanted to write a villain, I would always watch some of the better episodes of the old Lost in Space series. Dr. Smith on that show.
Jonathan Harris.
Thank you, Jonathan Harris, just phenomenal.
He was. I got a chance to use him on a TV show I was working on, The Mask, and he really put me in my place and taught me a lesson that I've taken and learned with and ran with. I was producing the animated series The Mask, and I had to go to the recording session, and they said, "Well, who do you want?" I said, "Yeah, can I get Jonathan Harris? He's great. He'd be perfect for this character." And they go, "Yeah, okay, fine." So they got him. And I showed up to recording session, I guess about 20 minutes, 30 minutes late. And he was sitting there in the lobby waiting. And I walked in, I introduced myself to him and told him who I was, and I was a big fan. And he stood up and he says, "Young man, you should be more professional." He said, "You should be here to greet your actors before they come here. You should be at the door waiting and invite them in and hand them the script and see if they want any coffee or anything and walk them through what you want." He said, "You're being very unprofessional." And I was like, whoa. Nobody's ever told me that. I was just like, whoa. And from that point on, we became friends. It was like he actually just put me in my place. I didn't know the rules like that. But a really nice guy. I can't say enough about Jonathan Harris. Really nice.
I'm sorry, I'm a little bit speechless right now. It's like everyone that I happen to idolize, you just, oh yeah, I have coffee with them. It's amazing to me. It really is.
I grew up on Lost in Space, so it was like, this was amazing to get him on this. I said, can we get Jonathan Harris? Well, sure.
What did you think of the new show?
Oh, I love it. The one on
Netflix.
Netflix. I hope they do a second season.
I hope they do too.
I was waiting. I've heard nothing about it.
What about the movie?
I thought the movie was kind of okay. I wasn't that thrilled about it, but it was okay. The series took me into a whole new, different development of the characters, which was great. More brought up to a new date, new time. I like the robot. I like the fact that Dr. Smith is now a woman. I thought that was great. Just as
well,
evil.
actually, Dr. Smith is a man. It's an imposter that's a woman.
Right, but the woman playing the Dr. Smith character is a woman. I know she took his place. But yeah, I was hoping for a second season, but it's been over a year or so I don't know what's going on with that.
It's been over a year.
Almost
Yeah.
a year. Yeah.
I'm actually curious now to see this. I haven't seen it myself, but I'm curious to see how they play up the character difference with the power dynamic being shifted with it being a woman, or if it's going to stay the same. Uh, I'm just curious
You're
now
not
to
gonna
see.
like her. I mean, not that like the actor was bad. Is the character? You're not gonna like the character in the same light as you're not gonna like Joffrey from Game of Thrones. Dr.
What?
Smith is a cunt.
Okay. You know what it was? I'll be completely honest. The problem I had with Fire and Ice Saga, because I can only get three-quarters of the way through the third book, and I finally said, "That's it. I've had enough." I did not like any of the characters. The writing was superb. The story development, the character development. George R. Martin, I'm not going to knock the man's skill as a writer, but unfortunately for him, he made a world full of douchebags that I could not give a fuck about. I'm sorry for using such foul language, but there's no other way I could sum up how I felt about these characters. I wound up putting the book down. My wife's like, "You finished already?" I said, "No, I've lost all interest in this book." I said, I didn't know. I don't know what it was. It was just, I guess it was because everyone, their attitude. And it occurred to me later on what it was about the book is it was like, and just bear with me, as someone who has lived in New York his entire life, it struck me as a book about Manhattan set in a medieval place. They all had this attitude like Manhattan elites, like the people that lived on Central Park West overlooking the park. That's really what I felt I was reading about, like these elite families, like the ones you'd see on like Real Housewives of Jersey or Real Housewives of Manhattan, or it's just like these elitist families, like fighting and squabbling and the squabbling amongst themselves and all of this. I just sat here and I'm like, huh. I'm reading these books and I'm like, you know what? I don't care about these elitist pricks. I just could not. I couldn't care about the book anymore. I think, to be honest, I think that book he pulled out a lot of stops that I said, "Oh, the hell with this." Like, I think
What book are we talking about?
Game of Thrones.
Fire and Ice Saga. I was on to book 3. It's what Game of Thrones is based on.
Yeah, I think I stopped book 4.
Yeah, was it for the
'Cause
same reasons or?
yeah, the same reasons, and also the fact the TV series was going a totally different direction.
Well, they had to do that because
Just
Martin is so slow writing because he's so detailed that they had to start making shit up as they went along.
yeah, so it was like it was starting to
He's
get
only
confusing.
he's pretty much the one writing the script, so he was only giving them partial scripts per season.
Yeah, so it was kind of
So
hard.
they had to fill in the blanks.
Yeah, but the book itself, I think around book 4, it was getting very confusing on who was doing what.
Oh yeah, I'm on Feast of Crows, which is book 5. I'm halfway through that, and I'm just like, I don't care who the fuck dies as long as Jon and Arya live. That's all I give a fuck about. Oh, and the midget.
Yeah, like I said, I gave up book 4. I said, okay, I can't keep doing this.
I stopped reading right when they got to the part where they took there's those two twins. What are they, Lancaster, whatever the hell it is. I don't watch the TV show, so I don't remember the names.
Lannister.
Thank you. I read the books years ago, right when they were making it into a TV show, and so right when they did whatever to him, and don't tell me because I might actually go back one day and try to finish reading the books. But I think they mutilated the one of the two twins. It was the guy, they called his group, it was derogatory, the toes of the goat. And he had that huge tongue, so he had a really bad lisp. That was the only reason I actually was tempted to keep reading the book, was because just the way Martin wrote, the way he had that lisp. I don't like to ever make fun of anyone's speech impediment, but the way that he wrote it, I'm picturing this guy with this huge beard, with this helmet constantly sliding over his eyes and this huge tongue hanging out of his mouth, and he can't speak, and he's trying to call him Kingslayer, but he's saying Kingslayer because of his tongue. I read that. I'm like, oh Jesus! To me, it was just such fantastic writing that he thought of a character like that. I read that and I'm like, Stephen King must be royally pissed at himself that George R.R. Martin beat him to character development like this. This character is fantastic. That was probably the only reason I would probably go back and finish reading the series now, is just because I'm curious to see what happened to that character. And yes, like you said, Tyrion the Imp.
Yeah.
Yeah, him. He was my favorite character in the books, and I wanted to actually finish the books first before I watched the series from start to finish, because I was curious to see Peter Dinklage's portrayal. But since you guys said it's changed so much from the books, I might as well just watch the whole series from start to finish anyway. But apparently I shouldn't now, because from what I understand, people are furious at the finale.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, kind of.
But George R. R. Martin said that it's not gonna, his books aren't going to end any very differently from the show.
And they're also doing a prequel movie, I believe.
I heard it's going to be a spin-off.
Yeah, supposed to be a. I don't know if it's going to be a movie or another series, but they're definitely doing a prequel.
I heard it was going to be a series.
A series, okay. Last I heard that they weren't sure.
Yeah,
okay,
it's a
well, good.
series. I think it's supposed to be when Batheron meets what's his face's sister and everything.
Ned
And when
Stark.
you know,
the Mad King is
Right,
attacking.
right.
So it's going to be about the rebellion.
I've seen a few of these actresses. They show their pictures. I don't know. I guess I'm only 40, so it shouldn't maybe bother me this much. But I'm looking at them; they look really young, like uncomfortably young. Like I know at this point I'm aware of the fact that they're actually like legal age, but I'm looking at them. I'm like, wow, they look so young. It's like it bothers me. It's like creepy. Like the blonde, she was in Terminator.
Yeah.
I understand. I think she's like 25 or something, but I don't
I
know.
think she's older than that. I think she's in her.
Wait,
her
the
early
blonde, who
40s.
was in Terminator?
The one who was in the one, she was in one of these Terminators that came out in the past
The
5
Queen of
years
the
or
Dragons.
so.
Queen of the Dragons.
Yeah, that's it. Daenerys.
Yeah.
Huh?
She's in Terminator.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I got to look up to see which one.
yeah.
The
Well, I'm
last
saying,
one,
Daenerys, it's not Daenerys that's in Terminator, it's Brienne.
Which one's
no,
Brienne?
it's the Queen of the Dragons is the
Yeah.
one that's in Terminator.
yeah, because I don't watch the show, and that's the only reason I know which one she is. Because I'm like, oh, okay, Game of Thrones. Which one is she? And I looked it up when the movie was coming
She
out.
was in the last Terminator film when they had two Arnold Schwarzeneggers in it.
To me, this girl looks like she. I mean, if I was working the door at a bar, I'd card her. That's what I'm getting at. And she looks so young, and a lot of the actresses in that TV show look so young. It just makes me uncomfortable. Like
Yeah,
that, they
I
have,
think she's in her late. I think she's in her late 20s, early 30s.
yeah, I don't know. She just looks young to me.
She looks young, but yeah, she's older.
I guess that's just me. I guess because I'm an uncle and I got so many nieces. I got a thing about it. I don't like watching. Like when they got. To be fair too, I don't like if they.
Sarah Connor in Genesis.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. I guess it's just me because I got a thing about that, especially when they show these younger actresses with older men. And I guess what do they call that? A spring autumn relationship or whatever that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Spring. The same thing. When they show like the younger men talking to the older women, I'm not knocking people who are in those relationships, but me personally, it's kind of creepy. It's one of those things I don't know. And it's like me personally,
It was in
I
Solo.
yeah, me personally, I don't like them sexualizing these younger people. It's just one of those things. And when I look at the Game of Thrones, I guess they're all of age, like I was saying, but they look so young, and it's like I don't know, they're too young looking for my taste. That's probably another reason I didn't watch the movie that TV show Game of Thrones, because I seen the actresses that they had in the parts. I'm like, all right, they are uncomfortably young looking for me. I'm not going to be comfortable watching this shit. I guess, like I said, I'm getting old.
He's in the new Thunderbirds.
Is that based on the puppets?
I don't know. It's CGI.
No. I mean,
It's most likely.
yeah,
Yeah. The Thunderbirds is based on the 60s puppet show.
Yeah, I know it's based on a puppet show. I saw like the first half of the movie.
I love that series.
What, Thunderbirds?
When I was little, I would go over to my aunt and uncle's house to wait to be taken to the bus stop. And we would put it on Sci-Fi Channel, and the Thunderbirds would be playing. And, you know, if my uncle didn't already have it on, I'd look at him and go, "Can we watch the Barbie show?" And he knew what I was talking about. I was talking about the Thunderbirds.
Oh yeah, before I forget, Lost in Space Season 2 began production in September 2018
Great. Good to hear.
and was set to conclude in January 2019.
All right, so maybe on this fall then.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, I
really
haven't
looking forward to that.
Not
I
seeing
re-
anything about a release date. But
That
it
was-
says that Season 1's production began in February 2017 and ended July 2017.
That was a good show. I really liked that show. I really did. I can't wait to see what they come up with next season.
I'll
And,
give it a
and
shot.
Season 1 was released in April 13th, 2018.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something, Toons.
Sure,
Since
go
you've been in
for
the
it.
industry,
Go
since
for
you've
it.
been in, like, I personally, I haven't been able to watch any of these TV shows that have come out in the past couple of years at all myself. The writing is such, oh my God, it's just.
Okay, go ahead. What's your question?
What do you personally watch that's on right now? Because maybe I can use you as a barometer as somebody who hates modern television because
You
the
mean
writing is
you mean as far as live action? Or you mean animation, or do you just mean
both.
TV in general?
Both, like right now, what TV shows other than Lost in Space are you watching, like in that sort of a vein? You know, as
I
just
don't, like you. I don't watch a lot of regular TV because I think the writing sucks. I really do.
yeah,
There's very few shows that I watch that, unless it's just brain dead, like maybe Big Bang Theory, which is no longer on the air now, which is just, okay, here's some funny stuff. It's all dumb and it's mistimed because these kids can't be Star Trek fans from first season if they're this old. How old are these guys?
yeah.
Shows that I watch now is I'm a big fan of the TV show, what's it called, Yellowstone? Because Yellowstone reminds me of Dallas back in the 70s. The writing is great. I like the family foundation. I like the violence. I like the backstabbing. I like all that. It's like a Game of Thrones in Texas. So I really like Yellowstone. There aren't too many other shows that I really, I liked Walking Dead, but that's kind of jumped the shark a few seasons back.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get into what's the other one called, the Revenge of the Walking Dead or whatever the spinoff show is, and that's all.
Fear the Walking Dead.
Fear the Walking Dead, yeah, and that's all over the place too. I have no idea what direction they're going in. So there aren't a lot of shows. I kind of go back and pull DVDs off the shelf or watch old TV shows on Amazon because there's not a whole lot of TV writing that I like. And like you said, a lot of shows are regurgitated or just bad writing.
Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, that's how I feel about modern TV. There aren't a lot of shows I really watch. There just aren't.
Yeah. I think to be completely fair too, it's because a lot of the shows, if I may speak plain, in the past 2-3 years have gone from things being subtle to now where they're just very open about what they're doing, and they've completely politicized almost everything. Case in point.
Go ahead.
Case in point, I hadn't watched it yet, the TV show Stranger Things. But my wife, somebody had gotten her to watch, I guess, an episode, or they were talking to her about it or whatever. So she comes home, and she was on vacation last week, and she says, I'm going to watch this series that's on that I keep hearing about. I go, okay, fine, whatever. So I really didn't pay too much attention to it, but she watches it, like television for the hearing impaired. So it doesn't matter. I was in the other part of the house. I was watching it with her. So she's watching it, and I go in and I keep looking at the TV, and I finally figured out what the subtext, like what was going on in, I think it was the second or third season. But the Russians have taken over their town, and their mayor is basically working secretly with the Russians, but playing it up as really patriotic.
That's the third season.
Yeah, and I explained to her. I said this is all. I said this is basically they're painting up what they thought was going to happen with the Mueller report. I said this is more of this shit that they're doing, putting they're injecting their politics into. I said, now don't get me wrong. I thought it was well done for what they were doing with it. I mean, I'll be completely honest. It's a TV show that it well, it's not art. It was entertaining and it was well written and in parts. Parts I thought could have been written better. I'm sorry, I don't want to sit here and critique this, but the point I'm getting at is I watched that show and I'm like, huh, all right. And there was, oh God, some other show that she had put on and I'm watching. Oh, that's what it was. Like what they did with Murphy Brown. Like I grew up on Murphy Brown.
I did too.
And
I hated that show.
I loved that show as a journalist. I really liked the writing, the timing. Oh my God, the timing on that show. And you want to talk about name dropping, but let's be completely honest. If you were not on the pulse of current events, you did not know what the hell they were talking about. And the best part is they'd make references to everyone from silver screen actors to cosmonauts. Just the breadth and width of knowledge that they would espouse in the name of comedy. To me, the only other show I felt was on par with that, as far as writing wise, was probably Frasier. And a lot of people don't realize as a writer, I can really appreciate the use of language that those writers had on those shows. But Murphy Brown was probably one of the funniest shows I'd ever seen. And to be completely honest, I didn't particularly go overboard for the show like everyone else did in the 90s, but there were some episodes of Seinfeld where honestly Larry David is a mad genius.
No food for you. 1 year.
That he was real. I had gone to that kitchen a few times. The food is delicious.
I was a big fan of Murphy Brown, and I thought the show was well written, well acted, well performed. When they brought the show back, I thought, no, this was a big mistake.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a terrible show. I think the writing was terrible, and I think I watched maybe 2 episodes and said I had enough.
Yeah.
Frasier I've always been a big fan of, and I kind of watch it every so often when I have nothing to do, and I'll turn the channel. Oh, Frasier's on. Okay, I'll watch that. I understand that supposed to be Frasier may be coming back next season.
I hope they don't politicize it.
I understand that some of the actors have come back and want to do Frasier again. So I don't know about.
Bring back Cheers.
What's that?
I want them to bring back Cheers, which is what Frasier was a spinoff of.
Yeah.
I don't think they could bring back Cheers. I don't know if they could do that again.
Yeah.
Some shows you just can't seem to bring back, and I don't think you can bring back Cheers. Maybe a Cheers type show they've tried, but I can't see Cheers again.
The saddest thing is, I think that they did have the opportunity to catch lightning in a bottle twice with Roseanne, and they cut their nose to spite their face with their own stupid political correctness nonsense.
I agree.
It's so
Roseanne
sad.
has always been one of those that opens her mouth, lets the words fly out, and she was fucking gold for that. Now all of a sudden, oh, you can't say that.
Well, she has to understand that times have changed, and the things that you could say 20 years ago, you can't say now.
Oh, fuck them. I'll say whatever I want.
Same here.
That's true. You can say that, but you're not on TV to where you're going to get hammered every time you say something.
Yeah, that's the whole problem. That's the reason TV is a dying medium. I really hate saying that. They're killing it because.
Well, also she was again on ABC, which is owned by Disney, and Disney is look at Scooby's Avatar.
You have to be politically correct in today's atmosphere when it comes to TV shows.
Yeah, you really do.
Because everybody has access to the internet and will comment and argue, and you don't know. Everything can be. You can piss somebody off just by saying good morning.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons that we got to really put our feet down because I'll be completely honest. It's no one. It's really no one who was born before, like, let's say 1980 80. It's none of us. It's a lot of these people who are like these millennials. It's these younger people. It's a lot. Some in my generation, but a lot of the generation right behind me, and they're the real problem. And they got this crazy shit rolling around in their heads that everything has to be scrutinized, and this political correctness shit. It's just for the birds. It's part of the reason I myself don't work in the industry. It's because I could not do this. It's something I could not deal with, and it's like Tara was saying. Part of the reason I use the avatar, and now I'm very clear on this when I tell this to people all the time. My problem with Disney as a company started after Eisner left, because that's when they started making a lot of changes, and the changes got really radical in the past few years. I haven't really looked into who, like, I understand who's running it now, but I got to look to see when exactly the paradigm shift started, because Disney is nowhere near the company it was even 10 years ago.
No, it's not.
It's
And
more.
it's really changed to where all they're doing is they're regurgitating their own stuff again.
Yeah.
Let's redo The Lion King. Let's redo Aladdin. Let's redo Beauty and the Beast. Let's redo, they're redoing everything instead of being more creative, creating new properties and new characters. And
Everyone's doing that.
Regurgitating.
Yeah. Well, it's not so much that they're regurgitating it. The more sinister aspect is they're replacing the originals with the new politically correct versions.
Well, everybody's done that. I mean, you see movies that have been redone. Let's say Footloose. Footloose came out in the 80s. And it was a big hit. They redid it again just a couple of years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
My wife made me go see it opening day.
And that's what you're going to see now is the new one, not the old one. There's a classic film that I love called The Day the Earth Stood Still. 1956, black and white.
Rock 2, Nick 2. Or however it goes.
The new one.
And they made a new one with, Keanu Reeves, which is terrible.
Oh, God, it's terrible.
But they'll show that one on TV instead of showing the original.
Yeah.
And kids will grow up watching the new one, not knowing the other one existed because the other one's in black and white in the time period.
I prefer the old ones, the originals. Like, I was just flipping through a YouTube channel before. I think the guy's name is Gringo, and he uploaded all these old westerns. And the guy's got about 340 westerns on there, and I'm just scrolling through them, and I go like this. I go, wow. My wife goes, what? I said, I've seen every one of these westerns from when I was a kid, because I would be on the floor, playing with my toys, like my cars, while my father was watching them on the TV, because that's the only thing the old man would watch was old war pictures, old westerns, and old sci-fi movies. He would not watch any of the new stuff. And because he'd always say, oh, all they ever do is curse, and it's always got topless broads running around in it. And he didn't care for any of that. And, like, to give you an idea of the type of man I was raised by, he liked John Wayne as an actor, but he didn't, like, when people would call him an American hero, like, he was of the mindset, he stormed the beaches of Malibu for Paramount. He would refer to him as a chicken whore. He said, look, he said he fought against the communists. So, as far as I'm concerned, he was a real American, but let's call a spade a spade. The man was a chicken hawk. He stormed the beaches of Malibu for Paramount. Because my father had served in Korea, and all his friends had served in World War II in Korea. And some of the older guys, when I was really little, some of these guys had even served in World War I. So, like, some of them had really bad opinions of John Wayne. But my father, he said, well, he was an actor, and he played the part good, and he played it right, and he did the boys justice. He said, but, I'm not going to sit here and call him a hero. He said, you don't put lipstick on a pig and call it a date, or something like that, he used to say. I don't remember all the old sayings he used to, like, whip on me, but...
Well, no, I think your father's correct. John Wayne was a great actor. He represented what America wanted to be, but he didn't go out there and he was a chicken hawk, like your father says.
Yeah.
So I agree with that. Your father was correct.
Oh yeah.
Didn't he play Genghis Khan once?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
Was
That's
that any
fun.
good?
No. No.
It's one of those things I point at all the time with Hollywood when they start doing the social engineering stuff, when they start changing things in movies. Like, it's one of the things I point to, like when I say, you can't change historical characters, and that's the first thing I point to. Like I say, leave it alone. Don't do it. Leave a historical character. Just like they like to say, well, we want to use, we want to change this character to a black character, this character to a Chinese character. And I always say, you realize you're insulting the black and Chinese people. That's tokenism. That's literally what that is. Why don't you make a movie about a black or Chinese character instead of changing a historically, like a white character or historically Hispanic character to something different to appease an audience?
Not just tokenism, it's hypocrisy.
Well, on the topic that Scooby's on, a lot of people are complaining that Disney's changing the live-action Mulan from their animated one. Well, when their animated one came out, there were a lot of Chinese Americans and Chinese that complained because it was nowhere near the original legend.
Mm-hmm.
Except for the fact a woman went to war.
Yeah.
I mean, she was still killed for infiltrating the army. But the emperor was like, your family shall never have any shame, but you still have to die.
Yeah, well, they westernized it. That's what they do.
Exactly.
Well,
So now that they're live action, they're remaking it and making it more like the original. And people are like, this is nothing like the animated version. No, it's more like the original.
Well, to be fair, Ariel never turned to foam.
That's what I mean. You just can't please everybody when you do something. You just can't do it.
Cinderella's sisters didn't cut off pieces of their feet.
Well, that's because Walt Disney did not want his movies and stories to be graphic.
Rapunzel's Prince Charming didn't go blind from falling into a briar patch.
Yeah, I wish that had happened. But see, they're not going on. They would take the Aesop, the Hans Christian Andersen, and the
one little rape scene in Sleeping Beauty.
This is why I have always read my goddaughters the original Grimm's fairy tales, the original Aesop's. My oldest daughter, her favorite book was my favorite book, and it was the same book, which was one of the original Snow Whites, where the queen tries to kill her 3 different times. First with a hair bow, then with a comb, then with the apple.
Before we get too far away from it, I just want to ask, has anyone else ever been, I don't want to say terrified, but really unnerved by the Disney princesses when you run into them in Disney? I mean,
you know what my pet peeve about the Disney princess is?
Mm-hmm.
Kida is not one of them. She is the lost princess from the Lost Empire.
True. Very true. You should write into them. Point that out.
Hey, Scoob, just chill. My brother has some jungle fever too.
I'm not
in Mulan than Kida.
I'm just saying, well, maybe you should write into them and point that out. But what I'm getting at is,
fucking Mulan is one of the princesses now.
Yeah.
Well, they actually have more of the princesses in Disneyland than they do in Disney World. Disney World, they have more of the people in the hot-ass costumes with the giant fucking heads.
I'm not talking about Disney World or Disneyland. I'm talking about Disney in general. Kida is never included in the princesses.
Well, that's because she doesn't have a big, fluffy dress.
Well,
neither did Moana. And she was with the Disney princesses in Wreck-It Ralph.
Well, I could care less about the new ethnic princesses. I'm just talking about the classical ones you'd run into in Epcot that would scare the bejesus out of you when you were a kid. And then when you get older, you're like really unnerved. Because you're looking at these broads and they're nice looking, but it's just that, twittery voice and the whole batting of the eyes and the body language.
They have to have that twittery voice.
I'm fully aware of that, but I'm just saying to you, it seems corny on the cartoon, but then when you see it in real life, like, my wife watches that one. It's the comedy with Dempsey. What's that's name? Patrick Dempsey, and It's him and what's his name, Maudson. He plays like the prince in it, and like the characters are transported to New York City. And it's actually not. Yeah, that's it. It's actually parts of it are pretty funny. It's well done, but because that's a comedy. But when you run into all these princesses and everything, it's just one of those things. Like, unfortunately for me, the '90s, I took a lot of psychedelics, so I tend to like look at shit like from all sorts of angles, and I just sit there and I think to myself like, what is this woman's life like once she leaves the park?
Yeah, I kind of think you're overthinking it.
Did you ever watch Dumbo while on those psychedelics?
What'd you say, Kel?
Did you ever watch Dumbo while on those psychedelics?
I've probably watched all sorts of shit while on it, but my point that I was getting at was, no, I would sit there and I'd puzzle it. Like, can you imagine, like,
Yeah, I think you were kind of overthinking the fact that these were just imaginary characters.
well, not even that, just playing that for a 9 to 5. How does that affect you psychologically?
Well, it's a job. You should look at it that way. It's just somebody put on a costume and entertaining the kids from 9 to 5.
I don't think I could do that. I think it would like screw my head up, like, playing that character all day, every day, all week.
It's just a job.
I guess. I don't know. It's just the way my mind works. I think it would actually cause like some psychological crack. I mean, I remember everyone was talking about the postal workers. No one ever says anything about the Disney princesses. That's what I'm getting at.
Well, they're the ones that abduct the children and put them into the Small World show.
Oh, that reminds me. The only time we ever went to Disney World when I was a teenager, my mother and sister went on the Small World ride, and it broke while they were on it, and they got stuck. And they were right at one of the points where the kids are singing, so they got stuck there while the kids just kept singing the loop over and over and over.
Oh, what a nightmare. What a punishment.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. I can't imagine that nightmare to sit there while they fix the ride.
They were in there for a while, too. And so I seen them, and they come up, and they looked like they had just came out of a prize fight. I go, what's the matter? And my sister was, ripping and roaring and snapping. So I'm like, all right. And she's a little thing, too. She's like terror size. So she's like the Tasmanian devil. So I gave her a wide berth. So I go to my mother. I'm like, what's the matter? And so she told me, she's like, I just got stuck with that bitch on this ride for like the past couple hours with her, a couple of minutes. Or I forget how long she said. She was on there for a while, though. She's like, with her and her screaming kids. Everyone else is calm, but no, not her and her kids. They can't just sit there calm. They have to get off. They have to do this. They have to do that. And the whole time, this friggin' ride is going, it's a small world after all. So I said, oh, all right. And the sad thing is they still had a better time than I did. I won't get into that because it'll bring down the whole stream. I did not have a good time at Disney World. But finding out that my mother and sister had to go through that, more so, I felt bad for my mother, but it was funny that with my sister, because my sister's psychotic. So I can imagine just this lunatic sitting there losing her shit, stuck on this ride with her kids making noise and with the ride playing music and all these families like taking pictures over and over, because I'm sure she just started screaming at them like, why are you taking pictures? You already took pictures. What are you taking more for? Like, she would get impatient, and she's one of those people that she'd flip out. So I just, again, overthinking it, but I just sat there on the ride home like everyone's quiet. I'm sitting there chuckling in the back seat thinking to myself, just sitting there chuckling, thinking about them stuck on that ride, and my sister like acting like a lunatic. Good times.
Yeah, I can tell.
Well, when I was a kid, I wasn't allowed to watch a lot of TV, except for the cartoons that I was allowed to watch. My parents were really strict about it. This is back when they started doing all that shit where they were going to put in violence chips, and they were going to, that's when they first started banning everything. Like, they started going after Looney Tunes because some schmuck kid like shot somebody. Oh, I seen him do it in a cartoon. No,
that started back in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They started cutting cartoons up because of the violence, because some kid would go out there and hang his brother because he saw it in the cartoon, or some kid would jump out of a window like Batman because he saw it on the cartoon, and yeah, that was pretty bad.
That's why I tell people: watch your kids, watch what they're watching. Don't go after what I'm watching. Change the channel. Say, no, Jimmy, you can't do that.
Parents were using television as a babysitter. It was like, here, watch this while I go take a nap or go fix dinner or go outside or whatever. Here, watch this. That's why shows like Beavis and Butthead started at 8 o'clock in the evening and got transferred to 10 o'clock at night because kids were following that.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, we were teenagers at that point. We were watching it for inspiration.
I mean, I'm sure you've heard the Beavis and Butthead story where the kids set their camper home on fire because they saw it on Beavis and Butthead.
Yep. I was, let me see, Beavis and Butthead came out. I was in junior high.
Okay.
So I was at the age of doing stupid shit. And between that and, unfortunately, all through grade school, that was the era of The Simpsons. And Bart Simpson was not a good role model. And I remember they first started curtailing Bart Simpson when I was in like 5th, 6th grade. But unfortunately, by that point, I was transferred. In 6th grade was the last year I was in grade school, and then we transferred into junior high. And it was funny because I was actually the last year that 6th grade would go into 7th because 6th grade moved to junior high that year. So 5th grade also graduated with us. So it was the first year that the 5th graduated into junior high and the last that the 6th graduated into junior high. But anyway, right around when they started clamping down on The Simpsons is right when we were starting to lose interest in The Simpsons. Not that we were losing interest in The Simpsons, but, you teenagers at that point, you're starting to look for stuff that's edgy. And Mike Judge had perfect timing with Beavis and Butthead. So a lot of people glommed onto that and radiated to it. And I have the Mike Judge collection on DVD. And it's all the unedited original ones with the videos in it and everything. And I was watching part of it because I honestly don't have time to watch it. But I was watching like the first DVD and I'm like, holy shit. I can't believe that this was on the air. Looking back on it now. Just the crazy shit that they were doing in that cartoon that me and my friends wound up doing so much of the shit that we've seen on there. Like, there was stuff, obviously, we were smart enough to know not to do. But there was other stuff you'd see them do, like, okay, we're going to try this, like the rolling down the hill in a tire, the going into the laundromat and going in the machines. We did all that dumb shit. I mean, there was one episode that they did of Beavis and Butthead. It's still probably one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. And it's funny, actually. I remember the night I seen it. I think we were on psychedelic mushrooms, actually. But, yeah, it was good times. It was the nosebleed episode. And, it's fun.
They didn't run this show for kids. They ran it, like I said, late at night, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, knowing that, they're letting you know it's not for children.
Yeah.
So I'm sure, college kids, high school kids were watching it anyway.
Yeah, we were.
And some of them were actually doing what they saw on TV.
It's funny because by the time I got to college, that's when Family Guy came out. So, I'm looking back on it now. Like, there were all of these, like, I guess the timing of when I grew up, like all these different stages. The right thing came on the air at the right time to influence me.
Think of what the younger generation is watching now and how they're going to be influenced by it.
I'll be completely honest with you. I'm going to send it to Tara later, and I'll see if she wants to send it to you. I just hope that you don't start talking to her afterwards because, this is such a weird video. It's one of these younger kids that's a fan of ours sent it to me. He's like I think he's in high school, this young man. And he's like, you got to see this. It's hysterical. I'm like, all right. And I'm watching it. And I'm trying to watch it. And I'm like, what the hell is this video? And it's like, I guess it's this internet culture that these kids have grown up with has their sense of humor. It's like on some next level. I could not get any of the jokes. It was just beyond me. it's like this hyperbolic super humor. And I felt like a chimp with a stick watching this shit. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't understand. Like, I guess it's the timing. It's completely different than the humor that you and I grew up with, I guess.
Well, that's like a lot of shows now. Like a lot of kids are into a lot of the anime things that I can't get behind. It's like I just don't understand it. And this is a great series, and I go, I tried watching, I can't do it. Like there's this show called Super Punch Guy or Power Punch Guy or something.
One Punch Guy.
One Punch Guy.
One Punch Man.
And I tried watching a couple of episodes because all my students are just loving this show. And I go, okay, well, let me see. And I said, I just can't. I don't understand it. I just don't know what's going on.
Well, the thing about One Punch Man is that you think you get bored of a guy who can end anyone with a single punch, but what he has trouble with is getting the recognition for it because everyone thinks he's taking the credit of other heroes.
I guess it's the animation that turns me off, or the way it's animated, or I don't know, the storytelling.
It's the way it's animated that turns it off for me. Same thing with One Piece.
Yeah, I didn't get the One Piece either. I tried that because
the animations for certain cartoons turns me off. Like my brother suggested to me Fairy Tale, and I took a look at some clips of it, and I was like, oh, this isn't for me. And then I'd watched everything else on fucking Hulu. So I was like, oh, there's Fairy Tale left. Guess what I'm watching? Only because they finally put out a final season because they dropped it off on a cliffhanger. Fairy Tale, they finally put out a final season.
See, I'm old school. I just found out they just put Lupin the Third on Amazon.
Really?
And I'm a big fan of Lupin, so it's like I'm hooked on that show. So I'm watching that when I can.
I tried watching Heroic Age the other night, and I'm sitting here watching it thinking that, it's going to be something like either medieval. I don't mind the space futuristic stuff, kind of like Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
But it ended up being this weird mix between mecha and diver.
Let me ask you, what do you think about the new Bebop movie coming up, or series? The live action.
I haven't heard anything about it.
They replaced the
live action or another anime.
Warning! It's a lie.
Excuse me?
They replaced the corgi with a husky.
Oh yeah, it's supposed to be the live action. Yeah, I'm not happy about that.
So Ein is now a husky.
Ein is now Balto.
Huh. That show is actually the reason that I was trying to get my wife to get. My God, that's how long ago it was on the air on Cartoon Network. I was trying to get my wife to get her mother a Welsh Corgi when she wanted to get a dog.
Yeah.
And Jesus, that's got to be at least my God, 15 years ago. So, wow, it's a long time ago. But yeah.
Sorry, folks, I'm back.
That's all right, no problem. We were just talking
Did that
about.
alarm say the wife?
Yeah, my daughter put that on my phone. Like, warning, the wife is calling. The wife is calling. Warning, warning.
That's so awesome. Can I get that ringtone?
I'll make sure that I'll make sure she gets it to you.
Awesome, thank you.
What was it? Warning, bullshit incoming.
No, warning, the wife is calling.
Yeah.
The phone I gave you, you have this thing called Zedge. You can put in under ringtone, the search for ringtones, wife, and it'll come up with that one.
Okay, I'm gonna do that in a few minutes. Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, my daughter put that one on as a joke for me.
I have one that says, let me see if I can find it. It's going to be under my music.
What was I saying? I lost my. Oh yeah, the Cowboy Bebop movie. I haven't seen this yet. When's it coming out?
I believe either Netflix or Hulu bought it, and they're
It's
producing it
Netflix.
now. Is it Netflix?
Yes.
Okay.
And they're also doing they've done Neon Genesis Evangelion. They redubbed it.
Okay. Good
Fans
or
are not
bad?
happy with that.
Not happy with it, huh?
No, they also apparently there was also a Sinatra song on the original dub of the anime. Netflix was not able to get the rights to it.
All right, here's the warning I have for an X.
Warning. This phone has detected an incoming call from your ex-boyfriend.
Apparently, it's a live-action series.
Please do not attempt to initiate contact. The number has been traced and will be blocked and deleted from your contact list. Conditions apply. Actual caller may or may not be your ex-boyfriend.
Cool. I like that.
Hey, Scooby.
Yo.
Apparently, it's a series, not a movie.
What, Cowboy Bebop?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure which one it was. I heard they were casting for it. Heard they got rid of the dog. So
They
just
need
curious.
to put a corgi in there, not a husky.
Yeah. I don't know why they went with a husky. What was the
Alex
purpose of that?
Hassel is being cast as Spike Spiegel. Wait, no. John Cho, Mustafa Shakir, Daniela Pineda, and Alex Hassel have all been cast in lead roles as Spike Spiegel, Jet Black, Faye Valentine, and Vicious in the series.
Well, we'll see how they mess that one up.
Yeah, seriously.
Especially if they
Well,
keep
Spike's gonna be an Asian.
Well, they got an Asian in there to play Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, Spike is being
Right.
played by a Korean.
Yeah. Well, okay.
A Korean's an Asian.
I know
Because-
that's how he's being played. Spike is being played by an Asian.
They couldn't find a Japanese or.
Probably because the Japanese are like, we're not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
Oh, if they can find a Japanese actor, he'll do it. Money's money.
You know, I'd really like to see them actually do something with Dragon Ball that isn't a steaming pile of dog shit.
Oh, you
Yeah.
mean like that shit that they made, what, in 2000?
No, it wasn't that long ago. I seen it in theaters, I think 5 years ago, maybe
What? That's
10.
not shit.
Hmm?
It was Dragon Ball Evolution.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. That was embarrassing.
Yeah, it really was. I had a free.
started watching that, and you know, my husband.
What happened?
Tara, get out of the tunnel.
Her microphone died on her. Oh no. All right, this is the perfect time to talk about it.
Maybe
because
it's a
she's
Florida
not here.
time zone.
Yeah, true. It's the time zone difference. It's affecting the delay. You know, it could be the aluminum on all the fan boat cages. They're acting like superconductors, and they're frying out they're causing like a reverb of the electromagnetic field.
Maybe an alligator snapped the line.
Yeah, there's so many different things that could have happened. Maybe Florida man used the alligator like pliers to cut the line. Who knows?
Scooby, earlier you were talking about this Ringo Western channel. What is this?
Gringo on YouTube. The guy's name is Gringo.
Okay.
I just was let me think. What was one of the movies that I saw? Oh God.
The YouTube channel. Okay.
Oh, John Wayne, Rio Bravo, I think it was. This guy, he's got an upload of that on there. They're all free movies, so
Yeah,
he's got tons of them.
I want to check it out. See what he's got. Some old westerns I haven't seen in a while. See what he's got to offer. All right.
Because no problem. It's my father, may he rest in peace. Like he would always make me. He'd call me into the room. He'd say, "Pachota, come in here," and I'd say, "Okay, what's up?" And he'd say, "I want you to watch this with me." I'd say, "Okay." And so, like, I watched the original King Kong, and you know, he'd tell me about the whole thing. He'd say, "Yeah, this is."
Can y'all hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
All right,
thought-
my net disconnected.
We thought the Gators got you.
No, there's no gators near my house.
Oh, okay.
You sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
All
We
right.
don't have any pools or small or little ponds. I'm good.
Well, there's other things down there that can get you too. There's the boa constrictors. There's the capybaras. You got all the.
We don't have capybaras. And
All right.
the boa constrictors are more in Paynes Prairie and the Everglades. Besides, if I saw the boa constrictors, I'd kill it and skin it and eat it.
Is anybody here interested or wants to see The Lion King?
No, I saw this clip on Twitter where they compared the animated version to the live action, where Scar flings Mufasa off the cliff. And the animated version was so much more dramatic than the live action one that they did. And plus, they made it so fucking obvious that Scar flung him off, other than the fact we know. But it was right where Simba could see Scar smack the shit out of his dad and knock him off the cliff, instead of putting his claws in his paws and letting go that way.
Yeah.
Doug Walker has a review out for it, and he's pissed.
It just looks like a really bad live action movie, even though we know it's all animated. It just
I heard Aladdin was horrible.
I wasn't impressed with Aladdin at all. My wife wanted to see it, and we went and saw it, and it was like, I just was not impressed. Robin Williams brought so much life to the character.
Yeah, I was skeptical that they could pull it off without Robin Williams.
You know, that's his character. He brought it to life. You know, he made it the way it was.
I heard people saying, "Oh, well, Will Smith isn't doing Robin's version of the song." Well, Will Smith can't do Robin's version of the song.
Yeah, he's only doing Will Smith, and it just wasn't as attractive as Robin Williams.
Well, my thing was Will Smith was doing the song, meaning the Friend Like Me and all that, the song that he sings in a cave.
Yeah.
Right.
That, you know, he did those songs as best as he could. But regardless, he's a different type of singer. Robin Williams was a comedian and an actor. He wasn't really a singer, although he did have a good talent for it. Nano.
Yeah.
But any singer, when they do a song, is going to put their own spin on it. And it's not always intentional.
I just think it was unnecessary to go to Will Smith, and I think that them following the Disney animated film was just a bad idea. And I thought it was
because, in my opinion, it was a slap in the face of Robin Williams' memory.
And looking at Lion King, it was like the animated film has so much more character and life to it than the live.
I mean, I expect in the next 5 to 10 years to be sitting here watching Netflix or Hulu or even regular TV, and they're going to be like, next season, episode premiere, or very first episode of Mork and Mindy, and they're going to have some dumb fuck guy playing Mork, and I'm be like, now I get to shoot myself.
I'm sure.
Well, they got Jim Carrey to play Mork.
No. It's not Robin Williams. He can't do the Robin Williams. Nano.
Well, they're going to try to bring all this. They're trying to bring back Gilligan's Island and Bewitched. And
they're making a female mask.
God, I hope they don't do a female mask.
I don't know what actors can pull that off.
I can't think of a female actress that could try that does those kind of expressions.
They're going to guaranteed it's either going to be, what's her name, Melissa
McCarthy,
or it's going to be Amy Schumer.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I bet they're going to go with Amy Schumer because they're trying to prop her up as a comedian.
Yeah.
Oh, bad choice.
Neither one of them are funny. I thought Melissa McCarthy was funnier when she was on her own TV show.
It's funny.
Mike and Molly.
Ghostbusters did as bad as it did because of Melissa McCarthy and all of them going on those shows and talking horribly about the fans. Like, when it first came out that they were making this movie and I saw the trailer, I'm like, okay, they reversed it. It's 4 chicks and Janine's a guy. All right, I can see this. Well, let's give it a shot.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, I'm watching the trailer and I'm like, this looks bad. This looks really bad.
I think it could have gone so much better if they had been the daughters of the original Ghostbusters.
Exactly.
And followed
Yeah.
through that direction and taking the story in that direction. I think the audience would have accepted it better and gave it more of a chance than trying to redo the original and put these people in those spots.
And when people came at them and said, "Yo, this doesn't look good," they're like, "Oh, that's because you're all a bunch of 40-year-old losers living in mommy's basement." That's literally what she said when people said that they had complaints. It didn't look good to them. And I was like, huh. And this is the thing. People complained first and said it looked like shit. And then they all said, well, this is because you're all chauvinists, and misogynists, feminism. And I'm looking around like, what the hell are these lunatics talking about with feminism? And it wasn't just that movie. That's when there's like this real bad surge with this feminism started. I didn't know it was going to get as severe as it got, but with because you know what it is? I live in a house. Well, when I was younger, obviously, they're not here anymore, but I'm the youngest of 7. I got 5 sisters, and my mother, she was raising these girls since the 60s, and she'll be the first one to tell you, she doesn't understand what the hell these feminists are talking about. And, my mother is, I think, what they call a second wave feminist or whatever, or a first wave. I don't know, because these kids now, they got grades and degrees of shit. Everything is like a martial art with these younger people. You can't just talk about something. You have to have index cards. But I'm sorry, it bothers me. I can't talk to like somebody under 30 without they critique everything you say and analyze it, and it pisses me the hell off. But apparently, oh fuck, I lost my whole train of thought. What I was saying with this, because of this friggin' heat, I'm starting to fry my brain here. Yeah. What was I saying, Cal? You keep track of it. Good.
I think you were talking about Ghostbusters.
Oh, they came out with the feminism that they're talking about how that was what they were saying. Everyone was knocking this movie because they hate women, and I'm sitting here like, no, we're knocking this movie because it looks bad, and you're being mean and nasty to people who are saying, "Yo, this doesn't look good from the trailer. Can you fill us in on why the trailer looks like the movie sucks?" And that was the big takeaway I got from it. And a lot of the things I've been watching with a lot of these Hollywood movies is they're making intentionally shitty movies, and then they're yelling at the fans, you have to go see the shitty movie, otherwise you're a hateful person.
And it's only getting worse because with Terminator, now they're
Yeah.
blaming the audience before the movie's out.
Yeah. And my thing is, why don't you just try to make a good movie? Like,
Because Hollywood has lost the ability to do so.
They stopped trying a long time ago.
Well, you know what the other thing is, and it's a sad truth, a lot of people don't know. The past 10 years, I'd say it's about up to near 40%. I'm not sure if it's that high yet, or it might have even surpassed it. I might be talking out of the side of my face and be giving the wrong number. But as last I knew, about 40% of the properties in Hollywood were bought by the CCP. That's the Chinese Communist Party, for anyone keeping track. That's part of the reason that every movie I've seen, because I stopped seeing them, I told my wife, she's like, don't you want to go see this movie? And I told her, I said, I could just go
What's the first C stand for?
Chinese.
Oh, that's the Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the Soviet.
No. It's the Chinese Communist Party. And my wife said, don't you want to go see this movie? I said, how about this? You just give me $20. I'll go into Flushing and I'll just hand it to the Chinese consulate there directly. I said, there's no reason for me to bother waiting and going and see the movie. Because, it's, you go and watch all these movies, and like every movie I'm watching, I'm like, oh, come on. More, not Asian Americans, more specifically, more Chinese people in these movies. Every movie I go see that comes out of Hollywood, there are Chinese people speaking Chinese, and it's taking place in China. And everyone's like, why is everything taking place in China? It's because the CCP bought Hollywood. That's why Transformers took place in China. That's part. That's
Transformers Extinction.
I don't. I kept trying. Who cares? Seriously, I stopped once it got past Dark Side of the Moon. Once they stopped ripping off the name of Pink Floyd albums, I stopped watching it. But
Oh, and I want to go back to something real quick. You
Yeah.
guys were talking about Game of Thrones character in Terminator Genesis, the
Yeah.
TV series. It was not Daenerys.
not the
It
TV
was
series.
Cersei Lannister.
Not the TV series. The new movie that came out with Schwarzenegger. It was the little blonde chick. Because I said
It's not the TV series. It's the movie. The last
Yeah,
Terminator.
Genesis.
Dark Fate, right?
Genesis.
I'm not sure if it's Dark Fate or whichever was the last movie, not the newest one, but the last one, where there's
The one
two.
where
different
John Connor
Schwarzeneggers.
is a bad guy.
Mhm.
The bad guy.
Right. That was
John Connor Terminator.
that was Daenerys. That was the Queen of the Dragons. Was the girl? She was
Yeah.
dark haired in that
It
film.
was Daenerys playing as Sarah Connor in Genesis.
Right. Okay.
You know, I think it was one of my nephews when that movie came out, and when she was in that, because she had her hair brown in that movie, and my nephew's, oh, she's so hot, and I'm looking at her, and I said before, she looks young, and it's a little unnerving, but I'm looking at her, and I thought to myself,
Younger in Game of Thrones.
well, not just that, I'm looking at her, but I'm thinking to myself,
Look at the hair.
she looks exactly like the little animated girl in Wreck-It Ralph, the one that's driving the car that glitches all over the place.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it. She looks like she maybe weighs like 60 pounds. I mean,
That's a reach.
she's just such a tiny little thing. I actually, one of my best friends for years, we fell out of touch recently, but she was an exotic dancer. She was only 4'8" and 75 pounds.
How much does
But,
the Wreck-It Ralph character weigh? 60 bites?
I don't know, but my point is that girl resembled her when she was in that Terminator movie, and I said to my nephew, I'm like, she looks just like that Wreck-It Ralph chick. No, she don't. I said, yeah, she does. What, you get off on that? I said, that why you watching that cartoon all the time? You sick fuck? No, she's nice looking. That's the same chick in Game of Thrones. I said, oh, all right, whatever. But this is also the same nephew that was constantly watching Supernatural, so I think that this kid was a swish and he was just trying to hide it. Oh yeah, that's the derogatory term nowadays. I think that this kid was actually homosexual and he was trying to hide it.
What's the term you use? Swishy?
Swish.
Oh, swish. I don't think I've heard that one.
You never heard swish?
No.
Oh yeah, you hear that all the time when I was a kid. Be careful around Jimmy. He's a swish.
Nope.
The other thing you'd hear a lot was, he's lighting the loafers.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
He's running with sugar in his tank. You'd hear that one.
No.
Oh yeah.
I've never heard that one either.
Yeah, the mechanics, they'd all, hey, watch out for Mikey. He's got some sugar running in his tank there. Oh, okay. Yeah. Thanks for the heads up.
Oh, okay. Learn something new every day. All right.
Well, we're known for how big the homosexual population is around here. So back in the day, everyone had a problem with it. Me personally, you know what it is, to be completely honest? They used to hit on me a lot when I was younger. And I guess that's because of so many of them coming up to me when I was younger. I got to know so many of them, but I used to tell them, like, I'm not into that. I'm sorry. But, they weren't the boogeymen that everyone made them out to be. So I wasn't, to me, it was no different than getting hit on by a girl you weren't interested in. I mean, it was, they actually handled it a lot better, the rejection, than the girls, to be completely honest. But I wound up becoming friendly with a lot of these gay guys and talking to them, and I didn't have a problem with them, really. And it bothered me when I was younger how much of a problem that people had with them. I remember, like, back when I was a kid, in the late 80s, early 90s, they used to gay bash them. They'd go up and beat the shit out of them. For what? They're not bothering you. They usually tend to go for other gay guys, and they usually tend to go for good-looking people. You're neither one of them, so why are you beating the shit out of them? And then, next thing you know, I'm fighting these guys. But, it's something I never understood when I was younger. It's the same thing with racism. I always said, what the hell are you going to hate somebody you don't know? You don't know the guy. He's sitting in another room in, another house in another state on the other side of the country. What the hell do you got a problem with him? Well, look at him. He's different looking. Who gives a shit? The hell are you wasting your time hating a stranger? I never understood that. To me, it's, I don't know. If you don't like somebody, and it's a person to
You're right.
person
Have a
thing.
reason. Have a reason.
Yeah, you gotta have a reason.
Know what you don't like. Right. All
Yeah.
right, folks. It's getting late. Any more cartoon questions before I call it a night?
Well, I have a question about sci-fi in general.
Sci-fi. I don't know
Yeah,
if
something I observed,
kind of general, but let's see. Go for it.
it's something I noticed. Like, name an instance where like two ships meet each other, and they did not have the same idea of up.
It didn't have the same what?
Idea of up.
Where has it happened before? It happened in a few cartoon shows I can think of. Where one was
one instance that, or one basically on one instance on that same principle was in Attack of the Clones. When the Naboo arrived at Coruscant, they had to roll their ship, otherwise they'd be trying to land on Coruscant upside down.
Okay.
But that's one of the few instances where sci-fi acknowledges that space is three-dimensional.
I think because it's a media like TV or movies, to where they want to make it easier for the audience to understand, because not everybody is space, knowledgeable. Such as everybody knows there's no sound in space, so there's no way you can hear an explosion in space. But yet, in all movies, there's explosions.
Well, yeah, like that helps with like the drama, but I think it has more to do with like that. A lot of the battles are basically done in the format of World War II or World War One. Because but the starfighters are the only ones that acknowledge space as three-dimensional in every sci-fi.
Yeah, but most sci-fi films are going for their base audience, and most base audience don't understand one ship coming upside down and why is it happening.
Well, yeah, but they don't have a hard time understanding that with like starfighters.
Right. Or they don't understand there's explosions, or some people can, survive in space or whatever. You got to think of your audience. And middle America down south or whatever is like, duh, why is that ship upside down? They did it wrong.
So there was another one in Space Battleship Yamato. A Terran fleet attacked the enemy fleet from below.
Okay.
That was one of the few instances where they treat space as three-dimensional. But it's just something I'd noticed in sci-fi.
Oh, what, you mean that everything's always like side-scrolling action? Everyone's always like going in the same direction or the opposing direction?
No, it's that everyone knows which way is up in space.
Right, yeah, everybody knows which way is up, is what she's saying. And I understand what you're saying. But
because like everything, basically the capital ships are based on naval ships sailing on water.
Right.
Yeah, they all look like battleships and destroyers.
And in space, there is no up or down. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's been a common criticism of the Star Destroyers that George Lucas designed, and his response was, like you said, Gelt. He just shrugged his shoulders and said, "I designed them to look like Navy ships because they're cool looking."
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, no, like a big influence for George Lucas was World War II.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, A New Hope was basically an adaptation of Dam Busters.
Huh.
Yeah, where they basically the trench run was based where they had these specially designed heavy bombers that would try to drop bombs at the right angle onto a dam. They also had to spin the bomb so that they'll bounce on the water.
Yeah. Holy shit! My father used to make me watch the documentaries about that, and then he'd tell me about the guy that he's friends with that used to fly those things, and how so and so used to make those over at Grumman, and everything had a tail with it. But yeah, I remember that. Holy shit!
And some of the scenes of the trench run were taking shot for shot from Dam Busters. Like the scene where they're approaching the dam, and you see the flat coming at them. You can see that in A New Hope.
Huh. That's really cool. I never even knew this.
Yeah, Star Wars is based on World War II, the American Revolution, and the American Civil War.
Right.
Well,
Hey,
and World War One, because considering how close starfighters get to each other in a dogfight, it's more like World War One than World War Two.
yeah. Before you leave, Toons, I wanted to ask you,
Yes, sir.
what was your opinion of Gendy Tatowski's Samurai Jack?
I wasn't a fan when it first came out. This
Mhm.
last season, I thought it was really outstanding. Story-wise, animation, direction. I thought it was really great. Characters were well developed. I really liked the series a lot this last season, this last series he did. So I'm looking forward to his new series coming up in the fall called Primal.
I hadn't heard about that. I'm glad I brought this up then, because
Yeah, but the first season, I just wasn't impressed with what he was doing or where he was going with it. I liked when he did the Star Wars animated series. I thought that was fantastic. So I was looking forward to seeing Samurai Jack, and when I saw it, I just wasn't impressed. But then this last one was really good.
yeah, because there's the one episode I think I showed part of it to Kelt here, the Scotsman episode that he
Uh-huh.
did.
Oh yeah, Scotsman and all the daughters.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was great.
yeah, and there was one of the earlier ones that where he first encounters the Scotsman. I think it's episode 26 of the first season,
Uh-huh.
and it's specifically one of the reasons I like it is because a lot of the influence in that episode you can see it's a lot of Peckinpah. And I don't know if the reason I'm bringing it up with you is I don't know if you're familiar with this specific episode, but
Mhm.
the first few minutes of the episode is he comes upon this megalith that's a bridge, and he has to cross this bridge. And it's amazingly well done. And what it is, he encounters this Scotsman on the bridge, and the bridge it's only wide enough for one of them to pass at the time. So it starts off awkward and it escalates to where it gets to where it's violent. And it's considered the best episode out of the entire series.
Really, like I said, I'm not familiar with the first season, so I'll go back and look at that.
Definitely. The only reason I mention it is, to be honest, halfway through the episode, it turns into a normal one of those episodes where it's more of shoot 'em up, explosions, all that sort of thing. But the first few minutes of this, just for the scenes with the bridge and up to the battle and everything that goes on there, it's just amazing. Because I'd bring people over because I had it on a DVD years ago when it first came out on DVD, and I tell people, I said, you got to see this one episode. And I tell them, you only gotta watch like the first third of the episode. The rest of it is, it's standard cartoon fare. But just the animation, I said, and the sound effects, I said, everything. You just gotta watch this. I said, it's like a Hollywood film. They say, okay, and they were amazed when I'd show it to them. And I got a lot of people into watching the show from it. But the first season, there was a lot of the episodes were standard cartoon fare at the time, which really was, it was take it or leave it. But some of these episodes, like this one in particular, he really showed his chops. And definitely check it out. I believe it's episode 26, The Scotsman.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it up.
Definitely worth it.
Yeah, thanks. I'll check it out.
No, not a problem. Tara, my love, what are you doing?
I'm trying to get Burnside's ass in here.
Good
Right,
luck.
Well, Toons has to call tonight, so that's why I'm asking you what you're up to.
Oh, I told him to hurry up before Toons left, and I guess that's not going to happen.
Well, what's the problem?
She's trying to get her man in here, and he's dragging his feet. He's probably eating something. I put money on it.
Well, you got him in here a
he's
second
a
time.
dick.
Maybe you'll get him here on a third time.
My baby's a redheaded ditz.
Yeah.
Redheaded bits. Okay.
Yeah, he's good people, though.
Yeah, not bad for a soulless man.
Oh, what? Because redheads have no soul?
Yeah.
Who told you that?
You were talking about Samurai Jack. Did you watch the Star Wars series that he did?
Yes, I did. My nephew.
Yes, Clone Wars.
Yeah.
What did you think of that?
I thought it was
Dylan Grievous is a
outstanding.
much bigger badass.
I thought it was the
Yeah.
best animated Star Wars they've had. I haven't seen one as good yet.
Yeah, he's really, you know what it is, because a lot of people there, they didn't, I guess it was just his style of animation. It was something that you have to get used to. It's a take it or leave it style. And a lot of people that I would talk to, they would tell me they didn't like his style of animation. And then I'd look at the Star Wars animation. I'd say, how could you not like this man's style of animation? And they would say it was too square in certain aspects, too round in other aspects. And I think the problem is there are just some artists that their style is so pervasive that you can just tell that they did this, even though like the character could be any trademark character, but you can tell that this person drew this character. And I think that was what the problem was a lot of people were so used to characters being their looks being controlled so much by a studio where it has to be this uniform cookie cutter representation every time. And I think that he took this franchise and made it his own so much that it stands out, like you said, better than the rest of the animated series. And not just for the fact that he drew them differently. I remember there was one episode that my nephews were watching, and I was actually floored by how well done it was, where Yoda was in a lightsaber battle in the snow. And I was just watching. I'm like, holy shit, this guy is good.
Yeah,
And my nephews didn't know what I was referring to at the time because they were too young, but I was floored by how well he did it.
yeah, I think he did it really well. Really great series.
Yeah, like
That's what I'm looking forward to, his newest series, which is Primal. It's supposed to
Yeah.
start, I believe, it'll start in September.
well,
So
I'm definitely looking forward to it
looking
now
forward to
too
that.
myself. Yeah, I hope it's good. You know, I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed because, like I
Well,
said,
they've got a clip on, I think it's on YouTube or one of the channels. I saw a clip of it. It looked really good.
I'm definitely gonna check that out. Then, thank you.
You know, so yeah, give it a shot.
I will because I'm like I said, I'm looking for anything at this point. It's so hard to.
There's not a lot of animation I'm really into. You know, I kind of giggle when I watch the Mike Tyson show. That's kind of stupid and funny. And I'm trying to get into the Young Justice third season, which is hit and miss. What else do I watch animation wise right now? I'm waiting for Rick and Morty. I'm looking forward to seeing more of those.
Yeah, they announced a new season.
Yeah. They got a big order for a lot of episodes, so they've got quite a bit of work coming.
Young Justice, wasn't that the one that they had on for 2 seasons and then just disappeared?
Yeah, they came back for a third season.
Oh, about time.
So it's on the new DC channel or Warner Brother channel or whatever it's on.
It would have been nice if Disney would have let that outside studio finish up Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
I really liked that series a lot. I thought Marvel did a great job. I have a lot of friends who worked on that. And
Yeah.
that was a really good show.
It was fantastic. That's the show that Marvel fans have been waiting for like 30 years.
And then they kill it after, 2 seasons?
And they brought in the Disney stock animation.
Yeah, which just killed it for me.
I hate saying this, it used to be Disney was like the benchmark. And I've said it for a long time. I felt that in the 90s, Disney was going through the period that Warner Brothers went through in the 60s with their animation studio. Like, I would compare it to that level, and people would look at me like, I said, yeah, as far as their TV animation goes, I said they've bare bones it a lot.
I don't think so. I think Disney did a great job in the 90s. Look at all the shows they did. They brought back Winnie the Pooh. They did Gummy Bears, Gargoyles, DuckTales, Tailspin. Those are some great shows.
Chip and
I
Dale
think
Rescue
you know what it
Bill.
is.
Yeah.
I think what it is I'm referring to specifically then is like their franchise shows, like the Aladdin show that they had. I liked Aladdin, don't get me wrong, but I guess it's just because I was used to the movie animation, and a lot of people were used to that scope.
Well,
And
you're comparing apples and oranges. TV and features two different things, and
no, I know that, but
I like the Aladdin show. I thought there were some really nicely animated episodes when they ran. I think it ran 2 seasons on CBS, and then there was, of course, Little Mermaid, which ran 2 seasons, I believe.
Yeah, I did not like the Little Mermaid series.
I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was great, but it was it was watchable. I enjoyed Aladdin. There were some really good Aladdin episodes.
Well, those ended up going to the Disney Channel.
Right.
Yeah.
And they literally, Disney would air the same 3 episodes.
But
yeah,
Even though I knew there were more episodes, I'm like, why are you airing the same 3 episodes?
like out of all those franchise ones, I think that Aladdin was the most palpable. Like the Tarzan one was okay. It was
I hated the Tarzan one. I thought it was
yeah,
terrible.
yeah. You know what I'm saying? It was like it's just like Timon and Pumbaa. That wasn't that bad. Timon and Pumbaa. But because of the time slot that they had it on, I didn't get a lot of chances to watch it. Unfortunately, I
think Disney started falling off towards that, like Mighty Ducks and shows after that, Jungle Cubs and a few other shows after that. They just were getting worse and worse.
I'll be honest, I kind of liked the Mighty Ducks when I seen the pilot episode. I thought it was a nice concept.
Really?
But yeah, I only watched the pilot episode, so I couldn't tell you how the rest of it fanned out, because all I know is it was a bunch of aliens that played hockey that happened to be ducks, and they crashed in Anaheim. That was all I got from it, and it was during that time period when that was a lot of things. You had biker mice from Mars, which I think they crashed in Jersey, and they were basically doing the same exact thing. So it was like basically Disney took the formula and ripped it off. But
everybody was ripping off turtles back then.
Yeah, everything was.
Sharks, frogs,
dinosaurs,
land sharks,
road
sharks, street sharks.
Yeah, street sharks.
Street sharks, that's right.
You had the street sharks, you had the battle toads, you had the other thing that Larry Hama did, which was the Adventures of Captain Bucky O'Hare.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was Larry. Comic book, right?
Yeah, that was a lot of the shows that you had at that time frame. But I guess it was just like the Disney cartoons in general. I liked it was just a lot of those franchise shows. I just did not particularly care for them. The Aladdin one was all right, and I guess you know what it is. I am probably being too critical of the animation. It was just.
It was TV animation. It was going to be cheaper. It wasn't going to be as controlled as the feature films.
It was just, to me, a lot of like the storytelling itself seemed lazy at times.
Well, like I said, there were some good stories and there were some bad stories. When you try to crank out 65 half hours of a show, you're going to come across a few clunkers.
Oh, yeah. And Aladdin really didn't have as many as the other ones.
No, not like Gargoyles.
Gargoyles, I got, I don't know.
I know you're not going to say something bad about Gargoyles.
I'm not going to say anything
until they reboot it.
I'm not going to say anything bad about Gargoyles. The only problem I had with Gargoyles was... No, relax, nothing bad. It was just, like, Xanatos' building.
Yeah.
I was just so pissed because I'd be watching it, and I don't know if the animators realized they did this. You could never tell where the hell it was. Like, when they would show it from the street level, you could never tell where the hell in the city this building was supposed to be when you would look at it at the skyline at the same time. It was one of those things that used to piss me off as, like, where the hell is this supposed to be exactly? What part of Midtown? That was probably my only problem with Gargoyles, was I couldn't figure out where the hell the building was supposed to be.
It's a cartoon. It wasn't a real building.
No, I know that, but I'm just saying it was one of those things that pissed me off. Like in Ghostbusters, that was supposed to be, that building is actually there. It doesn't look like the one in Ghostbusters, but that, it doesn't have that big ass weird looking crown with like terror dogs up on top of it. But there's an actual building in that spot.
Okay.
it's one of those things. Like I was, it was just
Okay.
like I'm one of those people. I was into maps when I was younger. When I was into
You were
scouts, it was one of
you were
those
looking
things.
for
Like,
more association with real life than so,
yeah,
Scooby,
I wanted to
calm
be able
down.
to mark
It's
it off
Trump
on a
Tower.
map.
There you go.
There you go. I wanted to mark it off on, like a map
Yeah,
that
okay.
I
I
had.
can
It's
see
just
that.
one of
I can
those
see
things.
that as a kid. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, somebody took my idea and ran with it because now they got the Marvel Atlas, and it has all the different places. Like if you flip through the comic books, okay, they had this fight. Where is it? It's right here in the Marvel Atlas. They show you where the fight was, where this happened, or where that happened. That's originally what the idea was when I was younger. I was trying to mark off all these different areas, but somebody beat me to the punch.
Well, as a kid, I can understand that. Reading the Marvel comic books as a kid, it was like, yeah, I used to love New York. It was like, I want to go there. I want to go where he's fighting that place. I want to go there. Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, I used to actually walk around the city though with a comic book and use it like a map and like, okay, where is this? Because you could actually do that though. A lot of people don't realize it because the comic book artists all live there, so
Yeah.
they would just walk around and they'd sit down on a bench. Okay, this looks like a good spot. And
Right, exactly.
yeah.
They live there.
Well, that's the reason I used to get pissed off with gargoyles. I used to sit there like, where the hell is this supposed to be? Like,
Well,
I'm.
well, again, Gargoyles was drawn here in L.A. and animated in Japan or Korea.
Yeah, it was the same problem that like a lot of us, everyone used to argue. They're like, nah, Ninja Turtles does not take place anywhere above 35th Street. I'm telling you, nah. Look at that. They're in Alphabet City the whole time. Like the Ninja Turtles cartoon that was on in the early 90s, everyone was convinced that they were only in Lower Manhattan because of the style of buildings that were getting drawn. Like everyone thought that it was like where Coyote Ugly took place.
Okay.
Because of the Ninja Turtle cartoon.
No, I understand. I just never took it that seriously when I worked on the show.
No, because we all live here.
Right.
So that was the thing. So we would look at the TV show, and it was just something that like the local kids would all, no, I'm telling you, look, they're in Brooklyn. This guy, look at all the brownstones. No, look, I'm telling you, look at all those the Woden. I'm telling you, they're in Alphabet City. No, look, they're on FDR Drive. I'm telling you, like that's what we would argue about when we were kids. Because
I never thought about that as I was working on the show, like how accurate they had to be.
It was no, it's not that you have to be accurate. It was just like it's one of the things like the local fans.
Yeah.
Like we would all like talk about. Like we all loved the real Ghostbusters. Loved the real Ghostbusters because they actually like would use place names. They would actually, like say you got to go over to this spot, you got to go over to this part. We got a call. It's over in Canarsie. Before that, we got the other one up over in the Bronx. Like they would. That really appealed to all of us, and because the whole cartoon they would constantly make every other episode they would take a stab at New Jersey, so it just really appealed to us. I remember when I was a kid, my father was watching it with me once. He's like, "The writers must be having a ball with this show," and it really was. It was. I watched it.
I didn't think about it like that, but yeah, I guess so.
Oh yeah, I mean, you watch it now. Some of these old episodes. They're hysterical. You can't believe that it was on for children. Like you catch the inside jokes and all the subtleties.
Uh-huh.
Like the first season before they got rid of Lorenzo Music and put on Dave Coulier, it really was a great show. It's a shame what they did to that show, but yeah, sail again.
It was a great show. I enjoyed working on it. It was a lot of fun.
That's so cool. I still can't get over that you worked on. I mean, I know obviously at this point you worked on all those shows, but it's amazing to wrap my head around it. That's so wild.
Okay, we're
What's up?
almost a complete hour out.
Mm-hmm.
And I still got dishes to do.
Yeah,
and no Burnside.
I'm going to call.
Yeah, and I'm kind of mad.
Mm-hmm.
Well, again, I appreciate you guys inviting me back. I had a great time, and maybe we can do this again next time.
Definitely. I'll try and arrange to also have Geeky on because she already told me she'd love to pick your brain.
Anytime. Well, like I said, you guys are a bunch of fun, and I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, and I will talk to you guys later.
Yeah,
thank you.
Have a great night. Thank you for coming on.
You too. Thanks.
Imperial, I know he was having dinner. He messaged me, but he could have at least messaged me saying I'm home, I'm eating.
He did. He said something like at 12:30. I just got home and situated.
Yeah, that was way after I'd been trying to call him.
Oh. All right then.
Hey, Scooby,
Yo.
you were talking about westerns earlier. Did you know there was one that's an adaptation from a Japanese movie?
What, the Magnificent Seven?
Yeah, I think that's what it's called. I know it's based
Yeah,
on.
it's based on the Seven
Samurai.
Samurai. I know that.
Yeah, there's also an anime adaptation of that movie,
I think I've seen that one too.
Samurai 7.
Mm-hmm. Believe it or not.
And there's the Hateful Eight.
Believe it or not, I'm not just another
What about the
pretty
Ridiculous
face.
7?
Kel.
Yeah.
I said, believe it or not, I'm not just another pretty face. I do actually
you're
know
just another
things.
pair of pretty eyes.
Always you got to go there.
All right, everyone. I've got to call it because I got dishes to do, and I know Scooby's going to want to yak my head off after we go off air.
Yeah,
All right.
guys, you got to remember we have to cut it early because Tara's operating on Florida time. So
Shut the fuck up, Scooby.
Well, you guys, you're the best.
Everyone press 1 to tell Scooby to shut the fuck up.
That's
And
great.
whoever gave us a downvote, you're just a hater because I can actually get real animators on. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night, all. Take care.
Bye.